Last we left our heroes within the upper reaches of the College of Whitethorn, you came face to face with a once bound and trapped pit fiend. This powerful devil stood tall and imposing above you and summoned a blade of shadow and flame in his hands before asking for your allegiances. At first, you thought he was seeking allies of the vow, but quickly came to find the devil was in fact enemy of the vow. And of this tower's former master, Raymond Browlis. With his information, the potential conflict began to ebb away in favor of careful communication. And eventually, as you grew familiar, the Pit Fiend made note that your group's name had been known and even been watched from afar by the eyes of the Lord of the Eighth Layer of Hell, Mephistopheles. It was then the fiend Malzakar thought to present you with an offer. Send him home safely, unscathed, and he would arrange a meeting with the Lord of Kenya that he ensures will be most fruitful for you, at least to those who want to see the Revenant Vow fail and this wizard fall. Tentatively, and with nothing set in stone, this proposal was accepted. Malzakar was sent back home, but left a scroll to contact him within 3 days, or the deal was off. With that out of the way, you now cleared the tower, most of its protections and wards, though your teleportation circle seemed to still hold some trap laid by Raymond, and it was deemed safer to return and handle the issue the next morning, now that time was once again on your side. You rested, awoke with several items on your day's agenda. Returning and scribing the intricacies of the teleportation circle to the tower, your work there seemed to be done, and your group, along with the wizards, hopeful to be the next headmasters, entered the halls of the Delarian royal line and attended a meeting of the Council of Arendelle. The most prominent topic here being the continued reconciliation and reuniting of the four nations of Vesaria and the coming threat of the Revenant Vow. As the meeting adjourns, you step out into the throne room of Whitethorn Hall, carried along through the vast hallways alongside the other council members and into the great hall before stepping out into the courtyard beyond. The midday sun is warming the stone and yourselves despite the time of year, as there is just a faint chill on the air and a hint of snowfall. But the day seems bright. It's well past midday, looking at like 2, edging into 3 o'clock into the later part of the day. What do you want to do?
You said 3 o'clock?
It's getting there.
Okay, let's check my notes.
For a reminder, it is, I don't know the exact day, but you have 2 days until the rest of today and 2 more days for both Deep Winter's Day, D&D Christmas, and the end of this deal with Malzakar, this proposed travel to the Hells and meeting with Mephistopheles. So you've got the rest of today, tomorrow, and then by end of the last day.
And apologies for the viewer if we go through this again, but is our stuff ready yet? Some of us had some stuff made, or like the Jinx deals? Not yet? Okay.
Not today. I can get the specifics.
I think it was 1 more day.
You guys are waiting for, well, some stuff wasn't for, like some of the stuff to Rabbit and Jinx, that was going to be a little while. But some of you had stuff that was for Deep Winter's Day, which should be ready by today, by today now. Or tomorrow. Yeah. By 3 o'clock today, yeah, like by end of day today would have been like when things have been ready. So shortly, if not already, you can acquire whatever it is. Allie had something that was being prepared. Val, you had a couple of things. I don't think anybody else did. I think it was just the 2 of you.
That feels right.
Hondo
had something.
Hondo has something coming from Rabbit and Jinx, I believe.
Yeah.
Don't even want to know what that is.
I'll talk to Hondo separately.
I think, but just to clarify, don't cry right now. Just to clarify, the deal isn't like, oh, if you're going to do it, you do it in 2 days. It's just we could do it right this second. If
you could do it right now up until
the
3-day time limit, at which point they will assume the deal is off, and you could try. Who knows what could happen at that point? As of right now, the deal, and it's not even a deal. We're using the term deal and talking to the devils is a little sketchy. This was a proposition and an offer of safe passage to talk about a deal almost. So as of now, like it is just, if you want it, you want the meat, cool, let me know and I will arrange for safe travel. The rest is on you.
Why don't we go back to our little Actually, that's kind of outside of town. So why don't we just go to like a bar or a cafe in town and let's have a chit chat about what the heck we're going to do next.
Sure. Do you want, well, we could say if you guys want to head to, I guess your guys' stuff would be in Upper Arendelle. If you guys want to pick up the stuff that you do have being prepared, we'll say that Valentine and Alana, you're able to acquire all of your things in a quick amount of time as you guys are kind of meeting at a tavern in Upper Arendelle.
Got the goods.
Got the goods.
I'm trying to remember this whole thing with Hondo, what he had made his deal for afterwards, and I remember agreeing
Is that
to
just
it.
between you two?
Yeah, it was something for his Deep Winter's Day thing.
Oh God.
And now I don't remember when I told him he'd get it. He'll just get it. I'm just gonna say Hondo is not here right now, and he's gonna have to see Rabbit and Jinx to acquire his thing.
Got it.
And he will re-meet you in Upper Arendelle.
Perfect.
All right. So if we sit down, let's have a coffee. Mary, you look very stoic, so you don't have to talk right now. You can just think pensively. But
Just reminiscing.
Lav, Brawley, let's talk about some options. We have the devil deal we could do, which expires in 2 days. I really liked the idea, and I feel embarrassed that we didn't think of this first, but of going to the Shadowfell to try and talk to the Raven Queen about this ritual. Find out why it always has to happen with the Keeper's Scythe. Find out if there's some way we could, just the way the wizards were talking about, maybe not break this, but bend it, fix it, just find out more to see how we can remedy that.
Yeah.
We also have that golden sword. One of the other relics is in the Underdark. Fucking cool belt and axe are with a kraken in the ocean. Thank God Hondo's not here because I don't want to do that. And then apparently Mordenkainen's staff was lost in the frozen north. Also Platinum Sanctuary. Also we could hit up at some point Marrakesh. Because what relic is there, Kyle? There's rumors of the last time it was seen.
Almost guaranteed existence of the Rod of the Lawbearer in the hands of basically the ruling family of Asmodeans in Marrakesh. It's been kind of handed down to ruler as a signifier of their status as king or emperor. So
And
that one's going to be a little tough.
Weren't we thinking too of like if we were going to do that one to either speak with Damascus since he has connections there, that maybe it might help us?
100%. And Colton and his bodyguard, I forget his name, Cauldron. We're going to head there anyways on a diplomatic mission, see what they could do. We were actually, I think, going to help them, right?
You guys had offered, it was not set in stone. You had offered that potentially you could at least get them halfway, with the kind of nudge being you could bring them along to Platinum Sanctuary, and at least they could get halfway from Arendelle, halfway across the country, and then they could at least continue on foot, whether you were to accompany them or not.
We could always do a twofer and try and go to Verdansia, get Damascus with Colton and Galdrin, and then do a teleportation circle to the place we don't talk about.
Is there I don't know offhand, is there a limit to teleportation circle numbers? How many people?
I think it was 12, but I can double check.
I know Teleport has a cap of you and 7 or 8. That would be all creatures. So keeping in mind your mounts count as creatures. Teleportation Circle, I think, has a wider breadth of how many people can pass through. Essentially, it's like 6 seconds of a circle that if people move fast.
Yeah, Shimmering Portal opens. Any creature that enters the portal instantly appears within 5 feet. Yeah, it doesn't have a limit on people.
I think essentially it would be you've got 10 rounds in a minute or a round to go through before it would fade. So I would say 10, maybe up to a little bit more, and then you're getting dicey. 11 and 12 are dicey.
Cool. It's good to know. Lav, you had talked about, I don't know if you talked about this that openly, but I know you're kind of wondering about this chaos plane. You were asking people about it.
This is what I asked Rabbit about.
Oh,
So I'm waiting for that information.
okay. So that's another thing we could do, but if we're waiting, maybe that's not the first thing we do.
I will also point out before that conversation continues, all the stuff with Rabbit and Jinx is to be reacquired on the 33rd of Morden. That's at least when it would be ready for pickup/delivery. I will pull up what day it is today in a second, but what I wanted to clarify was you also have 4 other relics in the wind that are kind of up for grabs, including the Rod of the Lawbearer that haven't been mentioned yet. The Rod of the Lawbearer, the Mantle of the Phoenix, there's Aurelia's Bow, and the Vestments of the Voidwalker. You guys don't have a whole lot of information on the Vestments of the Voidwalker or Aurelia's Bow. Those have not really come up in research and conversation thus far. Mantle of the Phoenix has come up as, if you recall, both the story that Alana, you found Castiel and Ragnar had this kind of whirlwind romance, and she was the bearer of the Mantle of the Phoenix. That has been kind of tossed about as well. So you have a little bit more information on the Mantle of the Phoenix. You have a pretty good solid idea where the Rod of the Lawbearer is, but, challenging. And then Dawnbringer, now you have information. Azuz's Fate, Belts of the Tempest, Stormbreaker, and I think that's it.
What was Vestments of the Voidwalker?
Yeah.
I might try and ask Lightbringer about that. That could be pretty cool.
Yeah, that is the last thing I will remind you. You do have legend lores and scries.
Yeah.
If you want to acquire information on any of these things, you have different planes of existence. You've got creatures and enemies and people that may pop for legend lore purposes. So keeping that in mind, that you have that to your expend at least once a day.
Yep. Definitely going to use that today. I need to start using that.
Keeping that in mind.
Am I too hot again? The mic keeps going up. Pretty hot. The heck, I'll change it again. The whole Rod of the Lawbearer thing, we did kind of mention, yes, there's already someone who has that. So if all we have to do is convince them, hey, maybe you should use this goddamn thing, or appoint someone to, even if it's not one of us, might be enough. But, I mean, we have 2 days before we know we want to be back here, and then we also have a lot of other shit that is after that, right? So we have a couple decisions to make. I know we wanted to stop in to try to get Damascus potentially to the Platinum Sanctuary, and admittedly, isn't there a library there? Like, isn't there a whole bunch of research? And I mean, we haven't talked to Uth about any of this shit in a while, so he might have more information for us. That might be a good, hey, let's use this time to get us in a new direction. And I mean, we can get there relatively quickly if we go soon, right? Like, I don't know what your spells look like, Val, but that's 2 teleportation circles, right? And if we can go to Verdancy, pick up Damascus, bring him to the Platinum Sanctuary, and then probably stay there, may as well. Second thing is we have to decide what the fuck we're doing about this whole devil thing.
Do we have a Verdancy teleportation circle?
Mm-hmm. Halls of Civilization.
Okay.
That was like your basically part of your deal to go along as bodyguard to your dad down into the Vale, and instead of sending some of their soldiers and people along.
Mary, how do you feel about the devil deal?
It's risky. In general, as a rule, making a deal with something that seems like a bad idea. But admittedly, the idea of potentially finally having a leg up on the vow on something, being ahead of them on a single point, is really tempting if that's what it can be. I mean, I don't know about you guys, I am so tired of being 10 steps behind them every fucking time. Like, we only finally just learned what the hell we're up against. We didn't know before this. If this could give us some information, we we desperately need some kind of information. We can't just go into the fight in a month, even slightly more armed. We get some of these new relics. They know what to expect, so do we. We can't go in just like we are now, or even with a slight leg up. I think we need some kind of information.
It's tempting, but fuck, it really worries me. I'm very scarred by the last time we made a deal with the devil. It did not go great.
I think we need to go in with an idea of what we have to offer, or with some guesses as to what he could potentially be offering. And we also need to be on our very fucking best behavior and have a get the fuck out plan just in case.
I'm worried it'll be a Gambino Sierra situation where we are backed into a corner and the only way out is to make it worse down the road for a fix now, where it was here you can have this terrifying gem that we fought you for, and also we could promise you a keeper scythe. Fortunately, we didn't have to go through with that, but it makes me worried that it's defeating one enemy to down the road having another problem. But it does keep the ball rolling, stops the world from ending.
I mean, we're getting to the end of shit, right? I mean, at this point, there's some big fucking things that need to happen.
Brawley, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's tempting because it sounds like it could help us. It could actually really help us. But at the same time, they're devils. They always screw us over. And they'll hold it over our head against us. Or who's to say, they might change it up again and say, I didn't say that. That's not at all what I said. You know what I mean? Or just flipping the situation around so then we're caught in a corner again.
I think we have to figure out, we don't even know what the offering is, right? Yeah. We have no idea. It could be vaguely, oh my God, Nate, you are so loud. Vaguely, it could have something to do with Raymond, right? That's all we know. Leah in real life was changing a diaper when this conversation was happening, so I am not super familiar.
So the context of the offer coming from Malzakar is a servant of Mephistopheles, so he didn't give any clarification for exactly what this deal would be for, what the ask from you would be in opposition. And even really, it wasn't even that it was a strict deal, more a potential offer and of conversation in which a deal may transpire.
Right, but we don't know. Obviously, he was very vague about what that what that conversation would be about, except for, hey, we both, not everyone wants this plane to turn into whatever. And you told me later, Kyle, because I wasn't there, that
it was implied.
I had an insight check in terms of what he's saying in terms of not everyone wants Asmodeus to turn up on the material plane and this become the ninth layer of hell. So the effect of that was true from what that dude understood.
Yeah, it seemed there was a ring of truth that at least this servant to Mephistopheles, and in his claim of Mephistopheles being in opposition of Asmodeus and the vow, and definitely of Raymond, had a ring of truth to it. And the proposition, the offer, the idea of this conversation between you guys making a deal with Mephistopheles, the only real inkling you have was an idea that if you are enemies of that, it's an enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation.
We also, in that same vein, if we're considering stuff like this, I am related now, it seems like, to another devil from another layer of hell. So if Mephistopheles wants to make moves from acquiring another layer, this could also be something of interest to another archdevil if we want to go full crazy.
I don't know how many devils we want to be getting into bed with, but maybe we'll limit it.
Well, my family, it seems, has already been in bed with the devil, so. Hondo, what do you think? You're strolling in this bar looking good. We're just talking about how we feel about the devil plan.
If I remember correctly, we were thinking of doing a deal with the devil. A devil, am I correct?
That is right. That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Mephistopheles, the Lord Archdevil of the 8th layer of hell of the 9.
I think we play one off the other and we start a little war.
I think that's potentially what they're going to be offering too.
Mhm.
8th is right below 9th. So I was going to legend lore one of these
Technically
relics,
above.
but sorry, I was going to legend lore one of these relics, but I think when we have a moment, I'll just do it on Mephistopheles. How do you pronounce it, Kyle? I'm going to butcher it.
Mephistopheles.
Mephistopheles.
Yeah.
And I mean, admittedly, if we get to the Platinum Sanctuary, Uth's been around for fucking ever. I guarantee he's heard a little bit more about what these devils, at least some stories.
Yeah.
There is, Lavender is so far is the only one of your group who has done any looking into this. There's a whole library that was once Mordenkainen's library in the Platinum Sanctuary. Has a wealth of his knowledge from days past, long, many years. Like he was last seen in 789, so it's been several hundred years, but he at least lived for several hundred years through the Reckoning and through Dragon's Rend, and a lot of interesting potential information that he would have scribed.
Why don't we just picked up our gifts. Hondo, I can see you're pretty excited. You picked up your gift.
Yeah, Hondo, you do have your Deep Winter's Day item. I haven't officially made it in D&D Beyond yet, but when time comes for delivery, when we're doing D&D Christmas, I will slot it into your inventory and you can do what you wish. But you have acquired it from Rabbit and Jinx. With the rest, and coming back to this, it is currently about 3:30 in the afternoon on the 25th of Morden. The 33rd is when everything is going to be delivered, so you still have a full week.
Well, okay, I'm just looking at teleport right now. You can teleport you and up to 8 willing creatures. There's 6 of us.
We'd only need teleport to get back here right now, right? Because the circle's not ready yet.
Yes. True.
So we'd need Teleportation Circle, which you get to
Twice.
Vesaria and then to Platinum Sanctuary. If we decide to do this devil deal, which I agree we could use slightly more information on first, potentially where Uth could come in handy. Then he would get us there. You can get us back, and from what I understand, you can get us back wherever you want. So you could get us back to Arendelle or Verdansia or Platinum Sanctuary or wherever the fuck we want to go, right?
Yes.
With plane shift.
Yes. You're right. Why don't we teleportation circle to Verdansia? We won't see my parents because they'll want us to stay for dinner and then you can never get out of there. But we'll bring Colton and Galdrin, grab Damascus, head to Platinum, and then let's do some research and see if we should make this deal.
Are they ready to? Were Colton and Galdrin ready to go today, or was that a later thing? Because we're going to be going back out that way again later, right?
It was not implied to be today, but you can rush back in and see where they are.
Let's see. Let's ask. Let's get this started. The clock's ticking.
You guys did just walk 45 minutes away from the castle, but you can go back.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I wish you would make up your mind before we did all this.
Well, I needed a coffee, and this is the best spot in town.
For coffee and
Fantasy
assorted
Tim
lunch and drinks, it does cost you all 10 gold.
Ooh.
You're in
10
Upper
gold.
Arendelle. These
Pricey.
prices are good.
God, it better be the fanciest coffee.
It was really good.
Okay, well,
It was
that's
really
worth
good.
it. That's worth
A
it.
little cinnamon on top.
That sim is so hard to get here.
It's one of those things where at least one of us is adding 30 things to your order, so someone's coffee is $25.
Exactly.
Is that 10 gold for all of us or each of
10
us?
gold collective.
Okay,
so
I'll pay it.
You
I
could
got it.
technically be 2 gold ahead, or
I'll
one
pay
person
it.
pays 10 gold because you guys are rich as fuck. Don't bitch at me.
We got that party fund. We got that party fund. Don't worry. Party fund. Okay, let's go back to Colton and Galdrin and see what's
Easy
up.
enough. You guys make your way back up as the day does begin to grow long and the sun does begin to slowly get lower along the horizon. The sun the shadows grow long as you guys reach the Whitethorn Hall once more, and are welcomed once more with kind of somewhat quizzical looks, like this is the third time you've been here today. It's weird, but like no one is stopping you. It's just kind of like you're getting like a double takes of just like, didn't we just see you?
Didn't we say that we were gonna? Sorry, I'm a very kind lady. Didn't we say that we were gonna have catch up with Colton anyway at some point soon?
Yeah, but like not 45 minutes later. It was intended to be like a couple days later we'll chat.
Time is of the essence. Let's talk now.
It doesn't matter. You guys make your way back inside, and you do in fact see, as you kind of are led back through the Great Hall, Galdrin is quickly called to the Great Hall. It still takes a couple of minutes for someone to come, but Galdrin is the one who does kind of arrive back in from the long hall from the throne room. And as he enters, he claps Hondo on the shoulder and says, I'm still mad about that pigman shit. As he looks the rest of you, kind of pushing Hondo playfully aside. And he says, well, this is quicker than expected. I hear you wish to speak to myself and Master Colton.
We were planning to go to get on the road where we talked about getting you pretty close, as close as we could get you to Marrakesh. If you guys want to go now, we could just start it. It's totally up to you if you and Colton are ready.
In truth, we had not yet. We were hoping to take some time and brush up on some history and brush up on some information about the area, and so we don't go in cold, so to speak.
Well, what if
this area is not my expertise. It's more Master Colton's area to be the face of our nation.
I mean, admittedly, there may be further opportunities as well.
Yeah.
Just as long as things are going to start moving quickly.
I understand. If this is how you see things play out, then perhaps within the hour we could be prepared to meet you. We'll just have to travel a little heavier than I'm used to. Try to bring some of this information along with us.
Yeah, and as well, we would be picking up a resident of Marrakesh who had that resident we spoke of in Verdantia, so that they would have insight too.
Well, with that information, that does change things a little bit. At least we could pick their brain, so to speak, and get some inside knowledge. Well, that does set my nerves at ease somewhat. So,
you would also be traveling with Hondo if that helps your nerves at all.
He kind of gives you a wry smile.
Better.
Gives a wry smile. Says,
Much better.
if you say so. He says, is there somewhere you're staying that we can meet you, or would you prefer just to wait here and travel together?
You guys want to drop some of our stuff off at our keep, and then we could meet them there and go from there?
Even just the gate. That's kind of...
It'll take us a bit of time to gather our things and confirm with the king and confer with... He kind of gets a little quieter and says, in truth, the king and queen are both not as keen on Colton traveling abroad once more, given his history most recently. However, I think it is in his best interest to get his feet back under him.
With you by his side, he'd be fine.
I'm not worried about any physical harm, that's for sure. But
Well, actually, we are traveling with Hondo, so...
again, I'm not worried about any physical harm.
It's true. Yeah, you got a good read.
Then let's make it so.
Okay.
I will meet you at the gate in inside of an hour.
Okay. Great.
Excellent. See you soon. And he travels back the way he came, as you guys have successfully aided in their travel. At the very least, they can make their way and stay within the Platinum Sanctuary with Damascus and get as much information they need until they're prepared to head south. So that works multiple ways.
How many do you think could fit through a teleportation circle, if I'm doing some math here?
I think you can get 10 easy. And past that, questionable.
Okay, so we have 6 of us, 2 mounts, and
Do mounts
Two
count?
friends.
2 friends.
Yes.
Then we're
Technically,
picking
Ulrich
up
counts
another
as well.
friend. And then
Yeah, but I mean, Oryx is just on Amanda. So if it's based on how many people can walk through.
That's true. That's a good
I mean, also in theory, as much as this sucks, Fern doesn't have to come with us.
I know,
'cause
I
we
think
can
I
just
could
get him
dismiss
back.
I could dismiss him and bring him back.
You wouldn't have any issues going to Verdantia, but once you get Damascus is when it gets tricky.
Yeah.
So if you dismiss Fern for the moment,
Just bring him back later.
You would have no issues traveling through with all of the group, all of your group, and then you just cast your spell to bring.
Yeah.
It.
Oh,
Takes an hour,
another question for Allie.
Keith.
Keith,
Keith,
if
yes.
we're going to hell, if we're gonna go, and then potentially, if we go to hell and we come straight back here, Keith will still be in the Platinum Sanctuary. Could be a nice vacation for him, or you might actually want to have him on D&D Christmas. So, unless you want to bring him to hell, also an option. You might want to leave him here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because when we went to hell, he was with us, right?
I think
Was
he
he?
was with us for hell and the abyss.
Yeah, it was not a
Yes.
good time for him.
And
Yes, he
like,
stayed in the room in hell. Remember? He
yes,
stayed
that's
in the room.
right. And he was, oh dear. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe if we do hit up the Platinum Sanctuary, I'll just leave him there and then
That good
him and
boy
Teddy
needs
can
a
have fun.
rest.
He can stay with Ted. He can stay with Teddy.
They can have a little side quest adventure.
Yes, fan art. Send it to Hexplorers DnD on Twitter.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll if we do get there before we go to hell, I'll leave him there just because like I know he's equipped and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure there was a time in hell where he was like this close to death. So
several, and then
he's a goat, and he's a goat in hell. Like
Yeah, it's not good.
no,
He'd be worshipped. Yeah.
It's,
Yes.
it's good to know that this like legendary ancient sanctuary to the Platinum Dragon is just becoming a petting zoo.
Mhm.
That's a
Truly.
good use of it.
D&D, baby.
And,
Oh, God,
and
if I
with
could just-
Kadar, this near immortal
Happy
dragonborn, like Claire Paladin of the champion of Bahamut, just babysitting animals.
Hey, he loves Ted. Ted is
he
going to
really
be
does enjoy
Yeah.
that part of his job.
yeah.
All right. How do you guys want to kill 50 minutes now to wait at the gate here?
Well, it takes you about that to get there.
Yeah, true.
To the gate?
Getting
To
back
get to your
there.
keep if you wanted to go to your keep.
So were they going to meet us at the gate of our keep?
They were going to meet you at the gate on basically the north, it's the
Oh, I
eastern
see.
side. So by the time you guys get to your keep and then rebound, you would meet them there if you wanted to
Perfect.
go to your keep for any purpose. In
I'll
theory,
drop off
you
the-
wouldn't have all your stuff with you going
Yeah.
to like all this stuff unless you didn't explicitly say. We'll say your vast amount of things are still kicking at your keep.
Yeah, so we'll go back, grab our ration supply, and get ready.
Easy enough though. With the time passed and you guys moving, collecting everything, blocking the keep up, you make your way back to the gate and you do see Colton and Cauldron both fully armored and both bearing like regal looking accoutrement of Arendelle and of the city of the Delarian Crest. And they are both wearing heavy packs that seem to be just literally chocker block full of, you're not sure exactly, but you have to imagine several different types of traveling materials, seemingly more than you have traveled with in your experience. It seems like they're extra or triply prepared. And Galdrin is not at all like weighed down by it. He's a big burly orc, but even Colton is pretty tough for himself, but he's getting a little worn down by this heavy pack. But they're both happy to see you and happy to get started.
While we're walking,
Colton, we're going to be going via the place that we took you last time, in the hot place. You guys all set for that?
Well, we were intending to travel through the deserts and down south into Marrakesh, so we are prepared for it. This is more official attire for kind of these kinds of missions, I suppose. I don't really go on these
I love that
things.
you said the hot place.
Well,
not the super hot place.
I guess we're not super in public anymore. I'm just really used to not saying Platinum
Yeah.
Sanctuary. Yeah, I guess all the fancy people meetings kind of need to look your part.
Yeah, a bit of presenting the right face for this kind of mission, but also trying to impose upon anyone who sees us that we're trying to do the right thing. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll elbow Hondo and be like, did you say goodbye to the Gray Lady?
I had a quick goodbye.
Oh.
I just didn't know how you left things, but that says it all. That's all right. Okay.
We acknowledge, we will have more time in the future.
Okay.
Actually, that's kind of cute. At first, I was like, ew, gross. Hondo?
I'm still mostly ew.
I mean, I don't want to get too close to her too either. I don't want to give her the wrong idea.
Do you feel like you put up a wall sometimes to protect yourself from hurt, but really that's hurting you?
I probably do, but also I can't commit to her right now. I've got options.
Oh, so it's less about like you getting hurt. It's more about you're keeping the field open.
I definitely thought that was going a different direction. I was like, oh, it's nice. Yeah, you're out all the time, long distance relationships, but no, that's not what it was at all. So.
I can understand that though, playing the field. Who wants to settle down?
You play the field a lot? You like to play the field?
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to you. You just say you play the field.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yes. You think I'm not talking to your cat wing bat thing?
Are you okay?
I just want to fucking go.
There's something on your face.
Is it my smile? I'll start drawing my teleportation circle.
Galdrin and Colton
no.
are both just kind of like stepping back slightly, just like, all right.
For this, there's going to be a lot more to come.
Okay. It does take a minute to cast the teleportation circle as you trace your blade across the ground here. It leaves behind this trail of arcana as tracing the different sigils, and it does take a little bit of intricacy, especially with this blade. However, Val, as you begin tracing, it does feel very much like a pen as you're writing through the arcane sigils across the ground, and it does flourish and flow easily, though it is a long blade in your hand. And you're headed to Verdantia?
Verdantia.
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't screw that up. I had a moment there.
1 minute passes, and the arcane sigils all glow with this faintly pink light. And those of you who are all in the immediate vicinity dissipate as the rest rush in behind. And rather rapidly and suddenly kind of stumbling over top of one another as you're suddenly in a very enclosed space, you do find yourselves in the lower halls of civilization in Verdantia. You're met immediately with several of the hall's kind of individuals. These are like scribes and kind of the people in the lower wards of like where the not the library, but the
Emerald Enclave?
No, I forget the right word for like archives. In the archives below. They are not guards of any particular kind, though you do see, as you guys begin to make your way out, the kind of suit-wearing mage militia here that does guard the halls of civilization almost materialize out of the wall as you step into the teleportation circle, and glancing you up and down, you feel like all of you, this faint kind of probing in your mind for just the briefest moment as they step out of the wall and kind of glance across everyone, recognizing kind of like you feel the tension kind of drop, and they all immediately begin to talk to Colton and Galdrin, and just kind of clarifying what's happening. And Colton very quickly goes over that you're on a diplomatic mission and etc. And like it just kind of like briefly just trying to brush them off, and they do respond to his station and obviously recognize who the prince is. You guys very rapidly make your way out of the situation and up into the main halls of the Halls of Civilization.
Could I try and pull one of those officials aside?
Sure.
Do you know, sorry to bother you, do you know if Francis is back yet from his diplomatic mission into the Vale?
By my understanding, Master Flowwild is to remain in the Vale for some time.
Okay. Do you know, did Damascus end up taking a position here, or is he in Verdantia?
Indeed, he is the arcane advisor here to Constance.
Could we get a word with Constance, or specifically Damascus?
He, as soon as you say, like, get a word with Constance, he's like, kind of like immediately backpedaling, like, his schedule is very difficult to crack. It would have to come with significance, though you do have Master Colton with you. However, he is not currently on the premises. Damascus, however, is in his office.
Oh, great. Yeah, we would just like to go there then. That's fine.
I can lead you there.
Cool.
This way, Master Delarian. He like looks past you to Colton and begins
actually,
to, like,
Master Florel. That's my name.
Entirely ignoring you. It's just like leading Colton and Galdrin along. You do begin to walk back the path up the kind of marbled stairs and into the dome and glass ceiling of the halls of civilization, and it is like you would imagine like a museum in our world. Like this is just this like immaculate, beautiful building, and there's people just moving, bustling all about the space. You were led once more back up to the wing along where Constance's office was, but instead down several hallways, and there's a rap on the door, and the door swings inward as this mage does kind of bow and step out of the way. Colton then kind of nods in a thanks to him, and as he kind of steps away, he kind of looks to you guys with like a shrug, and then just like gestures in. Inside, you do hear the scuffing of like quill on parchment, but right now it just looks like an office. You can't see anything.
Sorry, did we see Damascus? I just missed that.
You hear something, but you haven't entered yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's walk in.
You guys do enter, and there, as soon as you enter, Val, a parchment fluttering in the air just slaps you in the side of the face and like skates across your face and like leaves ink smudged across your nose. You immediately hear, "Oh, sorry. Trying to get a hold of this mess. One moment." And Damascus just begins kind of leaping up and trying to just grab papers, and it's like, "Give me a hand, come on." And it's just trying to, there are hundreds of papers that are kind of flowing up into the air, just like a fountain of paper and parchment and ink as he's trying.
Is how this is organized? This is how you keep it organized in here?
Not how I keep it organized, no, but this place is a fucking disaster. Within a short time, you're all able to kind of gather everything and kind of compress it, and you can see that this book that this all was floating out of, with your help, he manages to latch it shut with this heavy iron latch.
My God.
His breath. As Damascus looks over you all and says, "Well, lovely to see you all. Thank you for the assistance there."
Damascus, we missed you.
Truth be told, I have quite missed you all and the adventure that we were upon. I hope that you have some come home to bring me out on another.
Yeah, we have.
You don't even know the half. This is the Prince Colton Delarian, by the way.
A pleasure to meet you. He kind of extends his hand, and Colton.
Ruling family in Arendelle, and this is his bodyguard, Galdrin.
I'm well aware who the Delarians are. I was just unprepared to physically meet you. Welcome to. I don't need to welcome you. I don't know how to deal with this.
You're doing great.
Excellent to meet you. My name is Damascus, as I'm sure you already know. Please tell me we're leaving.
Yeah. We're leaving if you're cool with it. It seems like you're very on board, so great.
Yes, Arcane Advisor by title is impressive. In actuality, it's a lot of paperwork and proposals and arcane verifications and certifications, and it's driving me crazy, and I hate it. So thank you for the opportunity, but this is the worst.
I'm so sorry. I was stuck in Verdantia for most of my early adult life. Just early life, and I agree. It's more fun to get out.
Are we good to go?
Yeah, we want to take you to a place that you've only dreamt of.
He just like this sigh of relief.
You have like 2 weeks notice you have to hand in somewhere.
I don't care.
Are we just okay?
You want to grab your pack? You probably have to pack. You're probably not ready to go.
I travel incredibly light. And you watch as he just like twirls his hand and his sword kind of appears in his hand. And he says, "This is all I need."
He's like, I'm ready.
Well, we're ready to go. I just need some space to draw again on the floor.
Here, Hondo, assist. And he just begins pushing this desk, and it's a heavy, heavy desk, and you just come and help push, and you clear a solid 10, 15-foot space on this floor. He's like pulls everybody in and shuts the door. I'd rather leave quietly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Lav, maybe you could just write a little note to say we're out on an errand for when Constance comes back.
What do you want it to look like a child wrote it? Or
Yes,
do you want it to look like something that's really like regal? What are you thinking?
Maybe somewhere right down the middle.
Hey, maybe, hey, Colton's here. Colton, sign something. Say, sorry, we had to steal Damascus. It's very important, and I'm very sorry, but it's official royal duties, and he can't have his job anymore. Okay, bye.
Mary, that was my job. You just gave my job to somebody else.
No, I mean, you can write it. He just has to sign it.
Okay.
I'll happily sign that.
Both of you can do your equal part.
I just
the
like
official
start
letter.
writing it.
Easy
I
enough.
start drawing again. Actually, let me write these spells down. Let me use them.
Cast your spells. You do have you're all full up on spells and hit points. There's no expended energies. You finished a long rest and all good before the meeting. So the only one who's expended now will be 2 teleportation circles from Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
A minute or two passes as Lavender, you do craft this expertly filigreed note, and Colton kind of adds his signature along the bottom. And he does actually produce a seal of the Delarian crest and says, "We may as well make it official." Does like a whole seal stamp of the Delarian crest. With enough time, as you finish that, Valentine, you are able to finish the elements of the teleportation circle. You do recall there are one too many of you for this, so are you going to tell Fern to chill, or are you going to dismiss Fern?
Fern, we'll get you back on the other side. So sorry, pal. You're going to have to frolic in the Feywild for a bit.
Fern is just kind of like cramped in the corner anyways. Yeah, just kind of like sitting as small as he can get beside Keith, who is not sitting as small as he can get.
Oh, the boy.
Yeah, just fade.
Just nods, and yeah, he does begin to kind of just dismiss. With this, it actually smells like a little waft of rose petals as it all just kind of flutters to the ground. And as unfortunately, he'll come back, but your spell is able to complete, and you're headed to
Platinum Sanctuary. Back to Arendelle. Platinum Sanctuary.
Oh, that'd be great. That hasn't been cleared yet.
Yeah, no, we all are cursed and show up. Yeah.
That'd be amazing. We're just pots. What do you think?
Again, you feel the sensation of teleportation, and it's not unpleasant, but it's weird. Though you're more and more familiar with it as you go along. This feels better than straight teleport, and definitely feels better than plane shift. Plane shift feels like your whole body is being rended long and then rubber banded back together. This feels more like a gentle tingling that rises from your feet to the top of your head, and it passes only within about 6 seconds, the full round to get through, but it feels as if you are like full of bubbles and tingles, and then step through into a new space, and one far warmer than you had before, as you do indeed step within the Platinum Sanctuary. And you are, I suppose actually the sigil is on top of the kind of platform, so it's really hot as the winds of the Kell bluster along and wrap around all of you, and you are all once again treated to a now sunset kind of view over the Kell, and it is rather spectacular. From atop this red rock mesa overlooking, you can see the massive scar, the broken chasm that is the scar in the rending the middle of the Kel Desert. And for Damascus, he is unfamiliar with where you are as the bottom begins to kind of shift and spin and lower, that all of you but him and Galdrin are familiar with. And as it begins to lower, the two who are unfamiliar kind of begin looking about, but noticing that you are all nonplussed and comfortable, they begin to kind of just let the experience of entering this place wash over them. And
before I go down, I'll just go over to where Niavir's little pyre was, and I'll just put my little hand there, just give it a little pat, and then just turn back to walk down.
It is long blown away. There's no remnants of the event, though you have the memory well seared in your mind, and remember it quite well. And you feel the warmth, though you know it's very likely just from the heat and the temperature and the sun, but maybe there's something more.
Damascus, you know what this is, but you've never been. Aldrin, you don't know what this is, and you've never been.
That's correct.
This is the Platinum Sanctuary. Does that mean anything to you?
To Galdrin?
To Galdrin.
He just kind of begins shaking his head as the floor begins to lower, and he goes for his blade and is kind of preparing in a battle stance. But as I describe, he recognizes that no one else is having that reaction and calms and says, "No way. I can't say that this means anything to me, but it seems to have significance to you. And I have heard of it from Master Colton in his return."
It's incredibly important. Incredibly important. It stays a secret. So I know you're a good man, and we'll keep this close to the chest. But yeah, just like Colton indicated, it's a place for good. It helped us get back. So we want to introduce you to someone.
Excellent. And you look over to Damascus, and Damascus is already kind of starry-eyed and just looking at everything, trying to take it all in with the awe of a child, but with the calculating eyes of an incredibly intelligent individual.
You were a little wasted on arcane verifications and pushing papers, so let's get your talents to better use. Why don't you follow us down?
He just doesn't say anything, just kind of still staring and looking.
Hondo, do you want to see if you can sneak up on Uth and pay him back for some of the blows he rained upon you?
That guy can see probably out of the back of his head. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Wow, Hondo actually is
What?
level for a second.
Oh.
And all it took was him getting his ass kicked.
I'm thinking, though, I could test him by trying to pickpocket him.
Sure.
If I get caught, he'll want to fight, and if not...
Can we make a little wager?
Yeah, okay. Hondo, before you do it, Lavender, are you for or against? You think you can pull it off or not?
Oh, yeah. Uth is my boy.
Okay.
Hondo is...
Your dad.
Don't you ever fucking say that to me again.
Here we go again.
Why do you always say that? This guy's been around town, but look. He did not look like.
He's the oldest one here, and he has been around town. I think Hondo can pull it off. Just a trinket from his pocket. That's all I'll wager.
But I need a thing. I'm not talking about lint in this guy's pocket.
Yeah, it has to be a trinket, something from his pocket. Okay, what's the parameters of it? By tomorrow morning, he has to have done it?
Yeah, it has to be pretty immediate.
Okay. I bet you... What would I bet you?
What would I bet you?
I bet you that cool wizard book we found. Neither of us can use it, but I bet you.
I bet you... Oh, what do I bet you?
You bet...
Ooh.
Oh.
I will turn you into
Don't
whoever you want to be.
No, I just want to be me. I
If you
want
can do
you to do a drawing of my choosing if I win.
Ooh.
Oh wait, I was wagering Hondo. Are you wagering me?
What?
Are we in the wager triangle?
No, Hondo's gonna do the pickpocket. If he wins, you have to draw something for me. If he loses, you think he's gonna lose? Because
Yeah.
Uth is your boy. If he loses, I'll give you the cool, the huge spell book we found in Raven's Tower.
Okay.
Deal.
Okay.
This should be good.
You have until tomorrow morning.
Hondo,
to
don't fuck me on
accomplish
this,
deal.
okay? Don't fuck me on this.
As the platform does finally kind of settle, and it is that long, slow journey down the kind of this tower-like structure to the base of the Platinum Sanctuary. And immediately you do see, it takes time, and there must be some kind of alert that there's someone coming down, because Uth is beginning to walk down the hall, and you can see the Dragonborn, his Dragonborn figure in these long white robes trailing behind as he kind of walks forward and kind of scampering along beside him. You do in fact see your little owl bear buddy Ted.
Teddy.
He has grown a little bit. He's looking a little bigger. He's kind of in his kind of teenage owlbear years.
Oh my God, is he awkward?
Oh, he's he's like gangly and like
Have you seen a chicken that's not a chick and not a chicken? If you are watching and not driving, please look up what that looks like. It is awkward as fuck.
But he is actually, I shouldn't say gangly because he is pretty hefty.
How tall are we talking?
He comes up to about your hip.
Oh.
So he's definitely grown from like maybe knee, just below knee, to hip.
Is he taller than me?
No, you are still a little bit taller than him. You are still a little bit taller than him.
You just pat him on the head.
But he's got some plumage, though it's not full. And he is still rather rotund, but is now kind of wearing it a little bit better than his little pudge of his little
It's a little down.
chublet. You guys begin to make as Uth and Teddy begin to make their way towards you, and everyone here begins to kind of disembark from the platform. Uth with a wide, beaming smile across his dragonborn face says, "Well, welcome home. It has been much too long."
Agreed. And guess what? It's not the 9th layer of hell yet, so the fight continues.
So far, so good, it would seem.
Yeah.
And it seems you've brought guests. Please introduce me.
You already met Colton. This is his right-hand man, Galdrin.
He reaches forward and kind of clasps both of Galdrin's hands in both of his. And Galdrin gives like a head nod as Uth does like a shake and like a slight bow.
And this is also Damascus.
Damascus kind of steps forward and says, "Damascus Rain, it is a pleasure to stand within these halls and to meet someone who has been caretaker of something vastly more important than anything that still exists." Uth kind of like nods in like a mild smile, a humble smile. Says, "I think you will fit in very well here."
That's what we thought too. And so we apologize for bringing guests to this sacred place, but desperate times, desperate measures.
No apology necessary. At some point, the sanctuary must once more be sanctuary to those in need and those able to stand and fight when needed.
Hondo, do you want to give Uth a hug? You haven't seen him in a while.
Absolutely.
He kind of looks at you quizzically. Hondo, make a deception check, Hondo.
But I'm not. I will point out, I'm not gonna try and steal in this moment.
That's fine, but you're still gonna make a deception check. He knows you enough to say you're not gonna hug him for no reason.
And I got a 6 plus
your deception. That's just the roll.
You're not bad at that.
19.
19. Uth, like, gives a wry kind of look and then a glance towards the rest of your party and towards Valentine and kind of looks Valentine up and down for a second and can tell there's something weird, but he does indeed embrace Hondo.
Oh, that's nice.
Very, very warmly. And as you said, there was no ill intent. And he says, well, strange, but wonderful to see you, Hondo, once more.
That's what we're good at.
See you, man.
Please, come in. It is getting late. Would you be interested in perhaps some dinner?
I am starving. I just had to cast 2 of those big ones, so yeah, I would love some dinner.
That can be arranged, and of course, sleeping quarters are already prepared for your arrival.
Hondo, you look like you wanted to say something. Did you want to?
I was just gonna say, Uth, if you have to prepare anything or get anything ready, I'd say take Damascus with you. He has a lot to ask you.
Well, I think we should.
Wise idea.
Maybe not all the questions, though. We want to be there for some of that, I think.
Damascus turns to you and says, Valentine, shut the hell up. I want to talk to the guy.
Oh, no, maybe you could be Uth's sous chef and work right beside him, almost in his shadow while he prepares dinner.
If Uth needs any help, I am available.
He's got good hands.
Uth puts his hands up and says, not to worry. The meal will be my pleasure to prepare. And truth be told, I don't believe Hondo is quite as skilled in his culinary attributes as he is, perhaps with a blade.
He once just brought a pretty much live octopus from off the Bernancia coast.
He did poison himself at
Yeah.
Valentine's parents' place. So.
I
Yeah.
believe my point stands.
Okay, sure. All right.
Please, make yourselves comfortable. Dinner will be along shortly. Damascus, please. I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
I just picked Teddy up. I'm like, you remember me, buddy?
Make a strength check.
Oh, he's going to be too strong.
It's going to be too heavy for you.
Oh, it's so great. I'm glad it's low.
I can help you if you need help.
It's so low. I got 3.
No, you scoop down to like try and lift him, and he like you get underneath to like try and get under his like front legs, and as you try and lift, he just puts his over top of you and shoves you down heavily onto the
It's like trying
ground.
to pick up like a Newfoundlander dog. Like
He is pinning you to the ground currently,
You're
and
so dense now, buddy. You're so
I'll pick him up off you.
yeah, Alana can definitely maneuver him a little easier than you could. Valentine knocked the wind out of you for a second, but it was playful.
Buddy, you look good. You've been working out. You look buff.
He just kind of like puffs out his little plumage.
Oh.
All right, let's go sit down to dinner and figure out what we want to say. I guess we say it all.
It'll be a little bit before dinner's ready, so if there's anything you guys want to do before, you can, set your stuff in your rooms and claim rooms, or any other preparations you want to do. Now's the time. Otherwise, we can just jump forward. We'll say 45 minutes to an hour. And,
Let me see if I still have the...
it might be worth it, Scott, just in case we decide we want. I think we should probably try to do this at the end of every day if we can, to attune to the scrying crystal ball.
Don't get upset. I agree. I think I am.
I think you are too.
Maybe not, because I did it to the spell gem. So we can just say regardless.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I'll use this time to tune to crystal ball.
Easy enough. There's no other distractions in the meantime other than anything you guys want to accomplish. So unless there is any conversations or anything like that, roughly 45 minutes to an hour passes before Uth and Damascus re-enter into that courtyard area that you guys have had many meals in here before, and conversations with him, where the kind of illusory sky above it still rains down a little bit of sun into the room, but keeps away any of the sand of the Kel from blustering in. It's calm, it's serene. The gardens all around are still very lush and very welcoming as you guys take your seats around the multiple tables that are here. The two of them bring in multiple platters of just perfectly, amazingly presented food. It is platters of roast chickens, and there are sweet rolls, and there's fruit galore, and steamed vegetables, and there's just pretty much anything you guys could think of that would be in a royal banquet, a feast. You see plate after plate after plate being presented and being carried in, not by anybody, just kind of floating in behind Uth and Damascus as well. There just seems to be platters, just like kind of almost like Beauty and the Beast, just like floating in and landing onto the table.
Hogwarts style.
Yes, as you guys all are presented a grand heroes feast.
Oh, a real heroes feast? Oh shit! That's an actual thing. It's great.
Oh my god, amazing.
Fuck, we better use it then. Oh god, it's a lot of pressure. And little Teddy's trying to say hi to me. Okay.
It's like Teddy at the beginning.
Yeah, this is like baby Ted. Uth, the last we spoke, I think we only had Whisper, but now we've got I guess we had the Valkyrie too. Has he seen the Valkyrie?
When
Nope.
you guys were here last, it was Whisper out of the Abyss, and then he sent you to Haverfeld. You guys haven't been back here since Haverfeld.
Yes, we have.
You came here after Haverfeld, but you didn't have
We came
Then
here-
we started, yeah.
No, we came here so that we could get started to go to the plate.
Yeah, so like after Haverfeld, you came back, but you haven't been here since then. So you have the Warden and you have the Armor of the Valkyrie.
Yeah, I'll remove the cape a bit more and show off the Warden, and then point out I'm sure you've already seen the plate of the Valkyrie on Mary.
He did see yours is a little bit more obscured as you wear a little bit fancier dress over top, but Mary's is I believe you had said you were wearing your armor to the meeting to kind of look presentary.
Yep.
Yours is more immediate, and he did recognize a little bit. There was a little bit of a glance when you first showed up, and to the armor, he does kind of like a warm smile. But Val, as you kind of open your clothes to show the Warden, there's a recognizable kind of glimmer in his eye and this halting smile as he says,
That one comes with sad news, unfortunately.
that was indeed my question, was in what state was it found?
Sylvanas gave his life to protect it, but we were able to avenge what claimed him.
It's sad tidings, but he lived a long and truly good life. I don't know we any of us could ask for more, though it is still sad to know that that particular light has gone out. However, I think you wear it well, Valentine.
Trying to.
Did you have a chance to meet Sylvanas, to speak with him?
Unfortunately, no, but was able to talk to his lords and ladies of light, as well as the Summer Queen. Also, Castle Avalon now is home to us too. We were able to stay there and peruse his library, see some of his drawings and writings.
You watch that kind of dour look kind of change to a look of nostalgia as he kind of reminisces and recalls Castle Avalon and recalls. You can watch the memories kind of begin to pour into his mind as the smile, a natural, real smile, does creep across his face once more. Well, that is comforting. And though it is difficult to choose when violence is necessary and when death should be metered out. But in avenging him, I'm glad you made the call.
So am I.
One day, I'm sure I would love to hear the story, the tale. And I'm sure there have been many on your adventures since last we spoke. But perhaps tonight is a night for rest, eating, and enjoying one another. And if you have any questions, if you have any need that I can provide you in your days forward, I'm here for your assistance.
We definitely do. If you wanted to talk about that tonight, we'd be happy to, but if you want to save it to the morning, that's fine.
I am more than prepared. I speak to myself a lot, and I do speak to Teddy, our passing wayward friends who do drop by every so often. They do not stay long for conversation, and they know I am quite long-winded if they do. So I am more than happy to speak.
Let's do it now. Let's do it now. Everyone involved. Everyone.
A figure of action, Hondo, as always.
Anna, maybe you should. Do you want to take notes beside Uth? Make sure you can hear him.
I'll take notes. I think Colton wants to pick Uth's brain a bit. Damascus for sure. You get in there.
We certainly do too, Hondo. Yeah, of course.
Should we go to another room?
I know we could chat here.
In truth, it will depend on which you wish to speak. There are many matters in which the library may prove most fruitful in expressing some information. Certain questions may be best answered by speaking in another manner. But most questions could probably be answered here.
Okay. Maybe we start and work our way there. That sounds neat.
Entirely in your discretion.
We probably should have talked about the questions we want to ask you out of game.
You can talk out of
take
character
30,000.
right now if you wish. Like, you can always pull out of character and say, okay, what do we want to do?
I just
Let's do
meant
that.
to make this go faster.
Do we want to take a tiny break here?
Oh,
Leah,
sorry,
how you
guys.
doing?
I could probably heat up a bottle.
Okay.
Why don't we do that? Because I gotta go pee.
Let's take like 5-10 minutes then.
I gotta go pee. You gotta heat up some food.
Yeah,
You gotta
like-
get a bottle.
Dealing with Rosie there.
I'm fine with like a 5-10 minute quick stoppage.
Sweet. Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
And break.
Jumping back in the midst of this dinner, as you guys have your questions to ask, what do you want to go ahead and talk about?
Well, we're kind of tripped up on right now, Damascus. We have a lot of questions about the relics, but we're wondering, do you know about Casterian and the fourth seal and what is required?
I can't say I know anything about the seals beyond what you've told me already, and more in passing than anything. But I know of Casterian, I know the legends of the City of the Dead, and I know of a loose idea of its purpose. Something beyond something that occurs within the city, tied to the moons, but only scattered tale beyond that.
I'd say we can we don't have to say it, but we can give him the overview of everything we learned.
Mm-hmm. Tell him about the Keeper's Scythe. Tell him what transpired.
Okay.
Tell him about having to go through to that other spot and one of these monks dying.
Both he and Uth are both kind of sitting wrapped, and Colton and Galdrin are listening quietly at the far end of the table as well. Uth seemingly kind of like following along with like a knowing expression, where Damascus is more raptly kind of listening and like kind of nodding along, trying to piece together the pieces.
I'll be like, what's it called? Minor illusioning some of this stuff too, to explain some stuff.
Adding a little visual element of it to aid in some of the explanation.
I'll give him my book. Oh, don't look at that page though.
Was that blue skin?
This page.
Jesus. So our big thing is next full moon we have to go back to Casterian. We have to make a stand. That's part of why Colton and Galdrin are here. They're going to go on a diplomatic mission to Marrakesh, see if we can rally all of the continent for this cause. But we've thought about if we could try and stop this ritual, bend this ritual, and if it's worth going to the Shadowfell to speak directly to the Raven Queen or as close as we can.
Well, in truth, my expertise lies more in this life, in this plane. Once you start venturing into the idea of gods, and Shadowfell at least is a mirror of us, similar to the Fae, but it's tangible. It's connected still here. So in theory, I understand the connection, and I know of the Raven Queen. Perhaps he kind of gestures to Uth and says, perhaps Uth could be able to provide a little bit more information, but I mean you no offense. I don't see how you can convince a god to change a ritual this long in its making.
Oh, that's good feedback. Uth, what do you think?
Uth is kind of sitting back a little ways, kind of stroking this like faint little chin tuft beard that he has, and says, as you know, my expertise lies in the extraplanar and the gods, but more in the realm of the upper planes. I know of the lower, and I know of the damage that they can do. I know too of the Raven Queen, who lies in the midst of both. Neutrality. She sits not necessarily cast away as the rest of the gods are. She exists within the mirrored realms of the Shadowfell. This is peculiar compared to the other gods. This does set her apart. But it makes her unpredictable. It seems you have heard at least scattered tale of her ascension. A once mortal soul, attaining godhood. Such things have not happened to my knowledge elsewhere.
That might be a good question for Aetherius. I'll ask him later.
In truth, she stands in opposition of Bahamut in many respects. But
what makes you say that?
Her portfolio is in the collection of death, and in that we understand her purpose. However, her ascension, her grasping for power, has never sat well with any of the upper planes. A being who strives for that much power very seldomly proves to be inherently good.
Speaking of grasping for power and not good things, Colton and Guldran, I don't even think you know this part. When we were in Raymond's Tower, we got an offer from a devil. I don't think we shared this at the meal, Kyle?
At the council meeting?
At the council meeting.
No, this was not brought up.
So when we were in...
No, but no one else knows except for us and the three mages
The
in the
wizards who were there, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was not brought up to the greater council. This would be the first these guys would hear of it.
So when we were there, we were greeted by devil, 8th layer of hell, as I recall. Mephistopheles. Kill me.
Mephistopheles.
Stoff.
We're gonna have a tough time if we go to Greece. I feel like that's
Elise.
very Greek sounding.
Mephistopheles.
Mephistopheles.
That and prestidigitation will be deductive.
Prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation.
Never using it ever again. I don't even think I have it, probably for that reason.
I don't
So we met a devil who is loyal to Mephistopheles, and he gave us an offer to go meet him, the archdevil himself, because they don't like the vow. They hate them. They don't like Asmodeus. Well, perhaps hate's too strong a word, but they definitely have plans against them. They made us an offer to go there, safe passage, to hear out, to have a conversation, as they phrased it, but that it could be advantageous for us. Aside from the absolute fucking insanity of voluntarily going to hell to see an archdevil, how do we feel about this? I say this to Uth mostly, and Damascus.
Uth's brow kind of furrows as Damascus kind of reads the room for a minute and says, now this may surprise you in some ways, perhaps, given we don't know each other incredibly well. But I often find that sometimes dealing in the dark does have its advantages. You get a little dirty, but with the right intention, you can get yourself clean a little. Maybe do some good with it. Not always. Uth kind of sits forward. Says, this conversation reminds me of an incredibly similar conversation I once had with a great mage you may have heard of. And to Damascus's point, there is a balance to be taken. Perhaps not lightly taken. You must be diligent, you must be wise, you must be thorough. When you even think and propose these things, you must think of it in more ways than your minds can comprehend, because they surely will have already thought of it. Devils are crafty, devils such as you suggest. An archdevil of Mephistopheles' power is incredibly strong and incredibly dangerous. However, again, an enemy of an enemy could be a friend.
Do you know anything about his Mephistopheles' motivations, generally about history, or maybe that's something the library can help us with?
The library surely could help. As I recall, Mordenkainen had quite several tomes and studies done into the Nine Hells as a whole. However, he too was interested in Mephistopheles' arcane influence and prowess. Damascus steps in here and kind of gesturing to Uth and kind of like agreeing, says, there's one thing about Mephistopheles, is that he is a specialist in the arcane. He's a specialist in everything arcane, in hellfire, but he can be conniving. A deal with him is incredibly dangerous. But the most important thing to know about the Hells is every one of those archdevils and every devil beneath them wants to be promoted. They want to take the person above them down and take their spot. If Mephistopheles is one step shy of king, I would never put it past him to seek usurping that king, even if he is a god.
That could definitely work in our favor.
I know that Raymond has some history there in terms of some kind of deal. We don't know the full details of that, but I mean, we took out Null. Can you imagine fighting an undead dragon on top of everything else we were already dealing with? You know, back in Castirian? If we can hinder or potentially eliminate another Harbinger, that seriously changes the scales.
You have no context for what this potential deal would be.
They really hate Raymond, as Mary alluded to there, and to give everyone here context. Raymond wanted more power. This speaks to his descent into madness, but he wanted more power, and he made a deal with Mephistopheles. And actually the deal was his firstborn child, whatever it was. But he had a son, and he didn't want to go through with the deal, and they came for it. And his wife and child were claimed in the process, whatever that means. And that drove Raymond, it seems, into more madness. Perhaps drove him to make a deal with Asmodeus, but they were pissed at him. Raymond had trapped the one devil, this right-hand man, or at least one loyal to Mephistopheles. I don't know. It seems personal. And I think you're right that, I mean, you take out the king, make him look bad, you move up a layer, that's only good for them.
In truth, if that is the plan, that move benefits every archdevil. Any archdevil looking to promote themselves. But keep in mind, Asmodeus is paranoid and ruthless. Any hint of or suspicion of a coup, he would have no qualms with leveling all into power and restructuring. He has that ability. He has that strength.
We also know another archdevil, though we've never met her. But I have a connection there through my bloodline. If we do hear out Mephistopheles, maybe it's worth, if we make some sort of bargain that's advantageous to us all, could be worth reaching out to the last Shadow Sun. Well, the least handsome Shadow Sun.
In truth, this does not sit well with me. Overall, this idea of dealing with these fiends leaves a sour taste in the mouth. When we last faced threats such as this in the days of the Reckoning, these similar talks occurred. Perhaps different names, but more or less same ideas. And they found a way. We all found our way.
Was it Mordenkainen who made a deal?
Truth be told, I couldn't know whether he made the deal or what the deal would have been. I know not truthfully whether he went through with it or not. None of us could know. Mordenkainen himself was bound to secrecy and bound us all to never learn.
Mary, you look like you're about to say something.
I don't even remember what I said now.
Oh.
I think it was just something to the effect of we should look in the library and get as much information as we can before we make any decisions.
There's also, we could just hear him out, not make a decision there, though. Knowing devils, they'd probably force us to make a decision in their presence, one way or the other. We don't even have to go through with the devil plan. We have a lead on some of the other relics, Uth. And I remember you telling us if we got a couple, to head back here for more instruction. If you had any other information that could help us, that'd be beneficial too.
There's information here, and information and access here that you may find assist you in each endeavor. But in truth, you need one piece of each of these relics. You need something to protect, something to strike with, and something that can alter the playing field in which you have to battle. Many of these relics can accomplish these deeds. How you acquire them speak to their power level, their history. But in whatever fight is to come, against the Harbingers, against Asmodeus, against any threat that the Revenant Vow possess, they're your only true guaranteed win. Should it come to a battle with Asmodeus, should it come to a straight confrontation with these Harbingers, they're protected often against mundane weaponry. You will need protection. You will need weapons that can deal the damage that these God-made weapons can do. And to change the battlefield parameters with some of these and wield them like the heroes of old. It is not just in their physical attributes. There's something more within each as they connect with you, and whether your soul or your essence connects with the soul and essence of its former wielders, its former champions, and to the gods themselves, you will find greater strength through them than any other you could possess.
I like the sound of that a lot. That sounds like the most concrete plan we could have in knowing that there's a chance. Which leads us to, if we have to go for one of these next, which one do we go for? To recap, we know we have a lead on where Dawnbreaker is, which is in the Underdark.
Dawnbringer.
Apologize, Dawnbreaker. We have Dawnbringer. We have a lead on where the belt in the axe are, which is with Hondo's good friend, Mr. Kraken. Somewhere in the frozen wastes of the north is where Mordenkainen's staff is. And then Mantle of the Phoenix, we did learn of a story of the former wielder where she died. We could try and go for a volcano, try and see if we could track that down. And then there's Aurelia's bow, Vestment Voidwalker. Uth, you got one. We know where the Rod of the Lawbearer is, roughly. Hondo, you have one. I have one. Mary has one. Gordo, Brawley, Lav. What do you guys think? Which one sounds cool to you? What would you like? I hate the Kraken idea, but there's two there.
And those admittedly seem like they're Atlanta's bag.
They are Atlanta's bag.
The wielder of Stormbreaker and the Belt of the Tempest would be a champion of both Cord and Moradin. In truth, looking to Ali, says, I think you quite fit the bill for that. The wielder of the Mantle of the Phoenix, while not having a concrete essence connection to our god in particular, more connection to an element of chaos and flame and mysticism.
Glance at Lav. Glance back.
And in truth, Azuth's fate belies one of dark intent, but great and grave power.
What is that one? Azuth's fate?
It is the staff wielded by Mordenkainen.
Ah. Well, Gord, you already have a staff. You probably aren't interested in anything like that. You've never liked magical weapons or collecting any of that stuff. I mean, you have that dancing sword. I can tell by your silence you're more than content with your dancing sword.
As for the vestments of the Voidwalker,
Yeah, what is that about?
I believe they would still belie their wielder, or perhaps former wielder, in the Shadowfell as a servant of the Raven Queen, much like Whisper. And Aurelia's bow, in truth, its whereabouts have escaped me, as its former wielder is long past my sight.
Who was the former wielder there?
They were in truth, a nameless protector, a hero and guardian, but not one of mortal kind.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Amanda. Sorry, Amanda. Did you make a copy of that drawing, that painting we saw?
Yes, she did. It's in her book.
Yeah.
It's of all the heroes
Inside of the tower?
inside of Castle Avalon, where
Sylvanas,
Sylvanas is hung out.
Right.
Yep.
Do you want her to show
Good
it?
call.
That at least it just has all the items I think on it, like, roughly, right?
It had some. It has it had Mordenkainen, who did have the staff alongside him, Sylvanas wearing the Warden of the Fae, Ragnar with, although I don't remember offhand whether you could see Stormbreaker. You could see him wearing this big belt. You did see this smaller figure wearing this brilliant mantle, seemingly the mantle of the Phoenix, of this reds and oranges like feathers. And you did see Alasir, the champion of Pelor, wielding Dawnbringer, or at least at his side. But you did not see any of the other champions.
So was Uth not in that photo?
I don't believe Uth was in that one.
I don't think he was either.
Uth is
Yeah, and then
the
Dawnbringer.
silent watcher.
Dawnbringer is from Pelor, right?
Yeah.
Loyal to Pelor.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't want to fight a Kraken, but there's two there. It could really pump up Al.
I mean, we don't have to fight it. We just have to get away.
We could
Let's
use one of us as bait.
into the library.
You want to move to the library? Okay, let's go to the library.
Easy enough to continue walk and talk towards the library. As you do go, Damascus just kind of continues like questioning each of the relics, just trying to learn as much as he can, and without having to go through the whole spiel, he's able to learn the same amount as what you guys have learned of the relics that you have acquired and that you have learned about thus far.
Could I get one more update on Aurelia's bow there? Oh, Nameless Protector. We did get that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Nameless Protector. Got it.
Yeah. There's not a lot known about that one. Similarly, the Vestments of the Voidwalker, you don't have a lead on them beyond a former Raven
Hero.
Queen servant similar to the former wielder of Whisper.
That could be good for you, Hono.
But yeah, like the library, you pass out of this kind of courtyard area where you guys have been like eating, and it does take the full hour to eat the hero's feast and have this conversation and just kind of relax. But as you make your way back through the marbled halls, through the massive kind of rotunda circular hall of heroes, and past the statue of the wizard Mordenkainen, through this kind of arcane glyph covered door, you all walk into this massive multi-tiered library. There are 4 tiers, and around each there is a faint walkway with railing, and there's a crackling fireplace and several large lounge chairs and tables. It seems to have one particular chair seems to have a lot of use, and the rest seem slightly almost dusted over. The table likewise has a couple of books kind of scattered about it, but not a ton. And the fire, though, it does crackle nicely, though the added heat is unnecessary. It's more atmospheric, as Uth does lead you into the library. Most of you for the first time.
Nice place.
That's a nice place.
Good.
I wonder what I'd want to look up.
Yeah, we don't have to do like a whole roleplay thing. If you guys want to just want to search for some stuff. If you have questions, we'll talk it out. But if you want to start like just perusing and looking for something specific,
I'm looking up on the Kraken.
okay.
Cool. Good
Just
call.
Krakens in general, or like you guys don't have. I don't know if you have the particular name or location directly. You do have the name Seafarer's End. That's a location that you and Gord, I believe, are very vaguely familiar with, more in tale and led to like sailors and pirates telling stories. The name rings true, but less in like I can point to it on a map. If you want to look up just Krakens and legends of Krakens, absolutely.
Sure.
Go ahead and make an investigation check for me. Is anybody else looking for something, or do you guys want to just ask Uth or Damascus or anybody any questions? Go ahead.
Can I look up stuff on the frozen wasteland
Sure.
where
Look to the
staff
north.
would be? Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
So I rolled a 5 and with plus 11, so 16.
Okay. As you guys all begin to enter into the library and begin just kind of wandering off and just trying to decipher the organization structure and just trying to understand like what how this works and where everything would be, and you can just see hundreds and hundreds of tomes, some paper thin, some massive, heavy, thick tomes bound in irons. Hondo, you begin just kind of scaling and perusing the walls and just looking for anything that would belie seafaring, and you do in fact come across several kind of scattered maps of island nations and kind of histories of it was like trade routes in like the 400s, and there are like just like scattered bits of interesting history as you're kind of perusing through this like naval section. And almost butted up against that, you do find a bit of a book on basically like marine creatures, and skimming through, you do find a bit on krakens in general. And it'll take a little bit of time to fully get the information you're looking for, but go ahead.
Can I? So I'm going through the book, and I find something on a Kraken about its attacks.
Okay.
I want to confirm with Uth Kadar.
Oh,
So I want to call him over, or not call him. I'll go to him.
Sure.
And I'll show him the book. I'm like, Uth, can you take a look at this? This lightning attack. I have never comprehended such a thing before. And I give him the book to look at.
Okay.
While looking, make my move.
Okay. Uth does accept the book and says,
lightning attack.
I'll give him 2 books. So like, and it's in this book too, and there's something on an ink blot attack or something.
With both books, he says it is intriguing there. You wouldn't expect a creature of the depths to wield lightning. However, its primordial auras do imply some kind of abilities such as these. It is impressive. And as he kind of pours over the books, go ahead and make a sleight of hand check.
Oh, H.
All right. 11 roll and sleight of hand is 7, so 18.
Okay.
Sleight of hand 7? My
I know.
God.
Do I get thieves tools?
No, not for this. This is you just trying to be able to just like kind of scoop into like his pocket essentially. He doesn't have a whole lot of options here. Is he's just kind of wearing robes. As you do hand him both books, you kind of just try and gently just kind of brush your hand down to see if there's anything even worth grabbing. And as you just kind of just like rub your hand down, you do feel something and you kind of go around and grab. And out of like in a sheer instant, his tail whacks your hand as both books close heavily with this like.
I just start laughing.
He slaps both books together and says, hands you them both back and says, perhaps continue your reading. Another lesson may be needed for you.
You're too quick, man. I'll get you one day, but you're too good.
Yes.
When you
Second
are
Valentine.
It's not done yet. I think it's part of his plan to lull him into a false sense of security.
when you are over 1,000 years old, simple pickpockets are mere child's play.
I'll just
But he does
What the
wink
hell?
at you and then go around to help someone else.
stare at Honda like, that's it? That's all you had?
I gotta.
I'll walk up to Hondo just casually, just be like, "Hey, you all right? You all right?" And I'll lean in and be like, "Tell me next time, and I'll help you do it.
You'll need a bigger distraction.
I can help you. Just let me know. Give me a wink or something." I'll look at Lavender. I'll look back at the bucks.
He's a wise old man, Uthgadar. The dragon.
I'll walk by Valentine at one point and be like, I can read lips remember, and I think that's cheating, and I just keep going.
It's not cheating if she doesn't find out. I would like to try and read about. I want to find a book on archdevils or the hells.
Sure.
I'm kind of torn between. I know I should be researching Mephistopheles, but I'm kind of curious to know more about Malagard and Malbog, or Malbog. Yeah.
Make an investigation check.
First roll of the night. Actually, no.
As you go ahead and do that, Alana, as you've been searching along the upper reaches of the library, starting up high and making your way down, about on the midway through the second level from the top, so like the third level up, you're just looking through books and you're almost like glossing over text, and it's just like it's starting to get just kind of droll. What was your roll?
It
Investigation.
is.
Okay. You're starting to kind of just glaze over the text and almost like lose interest in your own seeking of this book, and just like, fucking books. But your eye catches something interesting, and it's not a book. You see this intricate alabaster kind of clock, this mantle clock, and it's peculiar because, one, clocks are not a typical thing that you find in medieval times, but this box of gears and these kind of hanging rods of gold and brass, and this kind of faint ticking and movement of these two small hands moving around this circle catches your eye, and this kind of beautifully crafted like filigree like of alabaster marble just catches your eye, and it's beautiful, and it's still kind of constantly just like ticking, and slowly these gears are very faintly shifting slowly at a time. And directly beneath that, you do in fact find an atlas, for lack of a better term, of the North Wind. There is, as you can pull out, this rather large tome of maps and sections of, the North Wind that seem to be hand-drawn by the same hand as the writer. And there's notations, and there are full-page written scrolling in this beautiful filigreed scroll roll of different creatures and locations, and just interesting aurora borealis that they witnessed, and some renditions of that. And you do indeed find basically kind of a guidebook along bits and pieces of the North Wind, though how old, ? You're not sure. At least Mordenkainen hasn't been around for a couple hundred years, so things may have very well changed. But you've at least got something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Val, what was your investigation?
Just 10.
10 is enough, as the hells are abundant here.
Documented.
They are well documented. There is a single book devoted to each layer and each archdevil, and you find them on the first level, easily found and seemingly well thumbed. It'll take you time to go through, but there are several tomes. You have a lot that you want to, kind of conflicting ideas of what you want to look up, and it will take a lot of time to kind of figure out as much information as you can about all the information you're looking for. If you want to start with one specific, I can give you a little bit off the top if you want to choose one.
I might pivot here. I might keep the book. Mary just said
several, like you got like a bit of a tome, like several tomes.
Is there like a desk or something? Or like
yeah.
I'll put them on a desk. Mary just mentioned here, I want to look up, I assume Mephistopheles, but she's going to go change Mira, if you know what I mean, wink. Just thinking about that, knowing there's a bunch here, knowing we're thinking about relics, I'm going to take out Aetherius, and I'm going to cast Legend Lore, or start it, and I'm going to ask about the Mantle of the Phoenix.
Okay. As you set the books down and you make your way kind of into one of these tall leather-bound chairs and leather-back chairs, and kind of take a seat, kind of brushing some of the accumulated dust off. You bring Lightbringer out in front of you, and Uth takes a seat beside you, and Damascus sits on the table in front. And they both just kind of know they can see you about to begin doing something and bringing a blade out. They're interested in this process already, and they're both sitting kind of raptly watching as you work. And as you bring Lightbringer out, you can feel the hum of energy from within the blade. And as you call upon it to tell this story, this legend of the Mantle of the Phoenix, from your mind's eye, everything goes white. But in the room, all of you watch as this kind of golden light begins to pour forth from Aetherius, and it begins to kind of cascade around and swirl, kind of accumulate on the space in front of Valentine, between Uth and Damascus and him. And it begins to blossom and glow, and it fills the entire space with this kind of faint golden light. And the rest of you get kind of an illusory interpretation of this story. As Valentine, you see it true. As the voice of the former champion, the former Lord of Light within Aetherius, tells you the tale of the Mantle of the Phoenix. As its origins truly go further back than the story of Castiel and Ragnar, The House of the Flaming Sphere was one of many arcane orders, and in truth, of the time, arcane orders such as this were magical think tanks devoted to ideas of arcane expansion. In the age of magical expansion, spells and magical control was as important an industry as agriculture was. However, they often had the benefit of vast wealth. Every new creation reshaped the world, and every new spell learned and crafted was an amazing, life-altering moment and advancement. However, the inspiration for many of these advancements would be drawn upon with the innate forms of magic imbued within the grandest creatures of the lands. These houses of study often sought and destroyed these innately magical creatures in the pursuit of science and magic. While plundering their secrets, their blood, their essence, the very weave that belies their souls. And with this information and this power, they did create wondrous and deadly things. These were scientists and practitioners that would eventually find themselves in need of more, living in lives of obsession and excess. Through their obsession, became many of the items and enchantments that you bear and many before you have borne. One in particular, from an early age within the House of the Flaming Sphere, was that of the Mantle of the Phoenix. It was worn and became a symbol of the Order's greatest practitioner, and as a beacon of station granted by the gods themselves, and the first and last sadly being Castiel. You know the story of the two champions in love and what ended that passion, but not of the figure who truly bore the mantle. Castiel cared a great deal for the world and for all its creatures, a compassion and care that set her apart from many in her line of work and of the era of arcana that she grew up in. That devotion, while odd to her fellow arcanists, was properly organized or recognized by the creatures she came across, as so often she would take powerful beastly things under her wing, so to speak, and nurture them, train them, teach them to become kind and helpful. She spent long and longer on the road, traveling different worlds, helping all that she could. Her loss and ultimate demise was not born of her actions, but of the greed of others, as she explored and sought the interesting and strange. A small bead of corruption began to consume the House of the Flaming Sphere. Without her guidance and hope, it soon consumed all who pursued studies there. The Ifriti lords of the City of Brass desired the beasts and research the Order had amassed, but the Order, under Castiel, had always rebuked their advances, as she could be as fierce as she was kind. Not to mention, her beloved Ragnar would leave the city destroyed in his wake if she told him to. So the Ifriti were forced to work with efficiency and cunning, and slowly they infected the Order with greed and corruption, turning them against their initial goals and their wayward leader, and it worked all too well. While Castiel was off protecting the world and seeking out new creatures, the Order fell fully under the Ifriti's control. When she returned with a phoenix, the Ifriti were ready to oust her and take the creature. But even with the rest of the Order in their pocket, Castiel was powerful, and the fight was legendary. The house itself erupted, the phoenix and Castiel were gone. Ragnar, as the story goes, returned to what ashes he found of her to Vesaria, scattering them atop Storm's summit. Heartbroken and lost, he stayed atop the mountain for 40 days with no food or water, only the fury inside fueling him. It is said that on a stormy night from atop the platform of Storm's summit, the warmth of their connection may still be felt to this day. You all watch in this room as this light showcases this city of brass, which you have recently become familiar with and from a distance. Now this city of brass shown in greater detail. You can see figures of kind of loose approximation made of this light moving through streets, and you can see arcana being formed. You watch as this building erupts and a massive flaming phoenix plume erupts out of it as the kind of story hits its climax and ends with a lone figure atop this mountain. This mountain with a plume of smoke rising from its top as Ragnar sits and the story ends.
Did everyone hear that? Like the voice as well? Or did they just see it?
They just see the approximation of the story while you hear and interpret the whole story being told to you.
Cool. Yeah, I'll share it as it's being told to. That's cool. Good for the animators too when this gets animated.
Sure.
Anyone know Damascus, Uth, even Colton and Guldrin, where Storm Summit is?
Damascus.
Or do I know?
You don't know.
Okay.
Damascus says, I believe, north of in the Kelp. If I'm not mistaken, to travel along Nomad's Run along the northern edge, as I've done many a time, you will come across the city of Magdarum and Storm Summit, a vast mountain, and at its base, a devout and impressive, if somewhat frightening, group of acolytes of Cord.
Acolytes of Cord? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They like to fight? Okay.
I should note to you, with a little bit of caution, Storm Summit is a dormant volcano. Dormant is, it has not fully erupted. However, it is only dormant some of the time.
Okay. That sounds pretty close. Of all the things we've talked about, that sounds kind of nearby. Anyone else get any good luck out of their research?
I wanted to look up anything about Mephistopheles, but like specifically if there's anything about history between potential past attempts to take over,
Sure.
and or depending on what I find and how well I roll, any other records of deals that he's made with Mortal, like notable deals.
Yeah, Valentine had.
Hold some books
I don't
out.
know if you were here.
I could hear. I just can't talk.
Right.
Val had found a pretty large selection of books on the Nine Hells. One of those is devoted directly to Mephistopheles. You can easily use that time to begin perusing that and taking in as much information of that as you can. And as Valentine had found that rather quickly, as it was pretty evident, it was right there for the taking. You would have quickly learned through a relatively quick skim. 1 second. You would have learned that Mephistopheles is as described earlier, an incredibly paranoid but incredibly intelligent devil. One who has been most studious in the arcane, and one who Mordenkainen, in his writing, as you can tell, this is written by his hand. You've recognized his writing as you've seen it before. This is written by Mordenkainen himself. You can recognize an admiration in the writing, in Mephistopheles' talent and his pursuit of his craft is, no hold barred, no soul too expensive to destroy in pursuit of this goal, whatever his goals were, and often they were arcane. And Mordenkainen kind of appreciated and recognized someone who was that devoted to something that he also kind of found devotion in. You find some information on Cania as a whole, in its notable extreme cold compared to that of what you would expect of a hell. Cania is a layer of ice, snow, and frigid wastes where many laboratories, some abandoned, some still in the process of following Mephistopheles' wills in their pursuits of arcane, some have been abandoned and lost to time. Some still continue whether Mephistopheles cares or not. But the lands of Cania are inhospitable, and there is one city of note sitting atop the perpetually kind of moving glacier called Nargus. There is Mephistar, the Iron Spike. It is a citadel atop which the Tower of Mephistopheles stands. Reading a little bit more about Mephistopheles. There is notation by Mordenkainen that he has long sought to take the throne, but knowing how old this writing is and knowing that it has not happened yet, you're not sure if a plan has ever come and he tried and failed. There's implication that Mephistopheles has been plotting, but there's no accounts of Mephistopheles acting. That's as far as you can get in this time.
Varak was his right-hand man, right?
Varak? Varak is the mind flayer of your dead dad.
Classic Varak. Why is that in the note there then? What was that guy's name?
Malzakar was one of 8 dukes of the lair of Cania.
But he mentioned the Iron Spike. He said that's where the meeting would go down, didn't he?
Yeah, the Iron Spike of Mephistar is Mephistopheles' primary base of operations.
Yeah, this makes me nervous. What do we think, gang? We just had this hero's feast. We could stop our search here and in the morning decide. Do we know what a hero's feast is? Do we recognize that we feel emboldened right now?
You've had one before.
Oh yeah, with the Sphinx, right?
Mm-hmm. You definitely feel as you ate like it was more nourishing than a regular meal. You did in fact feel emboldened. I'll tell you your hit points when they matter, but as of yet, I dropped the stats of what it does into the chat. So if any of you want to look at it, I'll roll the roll one probably for the next morning. But you have 24 hours of this effect, starting, we'll say, like 6 p.m.
Like if we want to do this devil thing, we should do it in the next 24 hours because this feast out of game makes us immune to fear. It's got major advantages. Like if we're going to go to hell, this is when we would want to do it. So
yeah, it makes you immune to poison. You cannot be frightened. You're immune to disease.
Wow.
You cannot be poisoned. You make wisdom saving throws with advantage.
huge.
And your max HP increases by 2d10. Which I'll roll.
Let's do it.
Small note, if we are going to do this, he's going to come pick us up. We are not going to be here when that happens.
Oh,
We need to be somewhere else when that happens.
speaking of a cute little devil.
Oh.
Hey.
I think Mary had a question about the Kraken or something, and then I'm going to pull Valentine aside.
What do you
quickly,
mean? Oh, yeah. What's up?
And I'm just going to be like, you are going to give him a book, ask him a question, and then you are going to try and steal from his pocket.
That's not the deal.
That is, because that is just the distraction I need.
He's gonna break my wrist. I got dainty wrists.
You do not even break my wrist.
What if I do my thing with words to you and then you try again? I can make a distraction though.
As long as he's distracted.
As you guys are having this conversation, Uth kind of walks towards Lavender and Mary as you guys are perusing through some of the books. It says, I do have one last offer I could provide you.
Okay.
Should you have specific questions you wish answered from a godly nature, I can be a conduit and provide you a channel to a greater power, to the Platinum Dragon himself. You can ask 3 questions of Bahamut, and I will be, through me, connecting you to him. Any of you. It takes a significant toll, but if you have questions you wish answered, it is something I can provide.
When makes the most sense for that? Now or later?
Before we rest, at the very least.
Okay.
Before we rest? Okay.
Please take your time and think on it, but I would be remiss if I did not offer you the chance to acquire truthful answers from one who knows more than us all together.
Thank you so much. That I'm sure is going to help very much in the future.
From a D&D standpoint, is that commune?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a yes or no question then.
In this case, it can be a little bit better.
Ooh,
It is super
spicy.
cool and made by me.
Vesaria. Okay. What? I'm writing some potentials down.
Yeah, so that could be another thing where you pull out a game, and if you guys want to talk about what kind of questions you want to ask, go ahead. You don't have to be in character.
3 questions we could ask about.
Let me get the specifics of the spell. But yeah, 3, definitely 3. Well, something is 5. I think Speak with Dead is, 5. So yeah, you can contact your deity, in this case Bahamut, ask up to 3 questions that can be answered with a yes or no. In this case, you'll get a little bit more than yes or no. Unless there isn't more to know, then it'll be yes or no. We receive a correct answer for each question. There's no deceptions here, and there really wouldn't be a need to it from Bahamut. Divine beings aren't necessarily omniscient, so you might receive unclear as an answer if a question pertains to information that lies beyond their knowledge. In a case where one-word answer would be misleading, that part doesn't matter because a short phrase as an answer instead can be provided, which will be pretty much for all of them. And he can't do this a ton. He can do this sparingly. So
We could ask about the Keeper's Scythe. We could ask about that ritual. We could ask about if that 4th seal fails, what next? Where's like the last stand on the material plane to stop the forces of hell?
I mean, even, just location might actually be super helpful because, like, we all know the idea of, like, getting an army down to literally the opposite end of the continent would be difficult, especially through the Veil. But, like, if we could start directing people to out of game, I don't have exceptional. We can't literally stop the 4th seal forever every month. We know that either we're going to fail at some point or we have to find an alternative solution. But should we fail, we need to know if we can be prepared. If we can be prepared and try to keep that kind of close to the chest. But that could actually be super helpful. Is there anything that might help us in the next week, like with the relics or like anything specific? We could try to ask for a better location in terms of the Kraken ones, because right now we have coast off the ocean, but we might be able to get at least a closer answer on that,
Or
even if it's like within
ask about one of the ones we don't even know about, like
well, we have legend lore for that as well, right?
That's true.
Which we get that every day.
Uh-huh.
So like that's like if we just want to know more about it and general location, legend lore might be good, but this is where we could potentially get a specific answer if we ask a specific question. We just have to know what question to ask. Sorry, I have a very hiccupy boy here and he's very loud. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
So many hiccups.
He is part of the party. So, in summary, we could ask about a location should the 4th seal break where the forces of hell would try and invade from. We could ask, like, is there a way to claim the Keeper's Scythe to break the fourth seal and stop someone from dying? Something like that. We could even ask something like to know more about, what's his name? Throatier. Like we saw Throatier, someone important to Throatier who was a female, a woman, die through like a terrible like lynching. We could ask to know more about that. Hondo Brawley, any thoughts? Anything else we like really want to know?
Yeah, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head right now other than what you just said.
Might be good, like Mary said, to know more about any specifics to, is the Kraken hoarding this as loot? Is it near the Kraken? That might be good.
Could we ask about what realm or dimension Gambino got his ship from, and we could maybe build on that?
Yeah, it's potential.
We want a ship like that.
And we don't know where, so going back to the relics, we don't know where Aurelia's bow is, right? That's the only one?
Aurelia and the vestments of the Voidwalker, we don't know.
Okay.
Well, we know that one's Raven Queen related, right? So that one's probably...
Vestment, yeah, it was a champion.
I think we do also admittedly have to, like, we could out a game, but, like, figure out, discuss which of these we actually reasonably want to go for. Admittedly, like, for example, the bow sounds cool as shit. I'm probably the only one who can wield it, right? And I already have something. So it might be worth, like, okay, well, who doesn't have something yet? We got to use our time sparingly.
Yes.
Like, admittedly, the bow sounds cool as fuck, but I admittedly fight with 2 swords and have really cool plate armor already.
In fairness, you guys don't know exactly what the vestments do or who they would be best for. That's something you could ask or attain in your own information, in your own ways. The Mantle of the Phoenix, you're not exactly sure what it does, but you have an idea of it would benefit, kind of benefit anybody, really. That one, you have an idea of what it does, but not its connection to chaos and like the elemental connection kind of fits good for Lavender, but in theory, in actuality, it could fit for kind of several people. Dawnbringer obviously is going to be a blade that in theory could be wielded by many of you. Azuz's Fate is in theory going to be by any of your spellcasters. You're not sure whether it would be an arcane specific, like sorcerer, wizard, or warlock situation. So in theory, bards may be out of that kind of situation, but there's still 3 of you in the party who are sorcerers, wizards, or warlocks. So that could be wielded by any of you. Belt of the Tempest and Stormbreaker seem to go together and obviously have a connection to strength and physicality and would be best suited to either obviously likely Alana, but possibly to Mary as well. And in theory, you're not sure exactly what the belt does and Stormbreaker does individually. Maybe they could be split up. You just know they have been put together. A lot of still unknowns.
Maybe we ask about location for portal should the fourth seal fall. I think that's just cool to know. I like a Kraken question. And then we could always ask about a mantle, like if it's close nearby. I know we have legend lore, but like if we got a bead to a god. Maybe we could ask something like, what is Asmodeus's like greatest desire or like greatest fault, like something we could use to like play with. Weakness, yeah.
I mean, even if I know they're not all knowing, so like may not know everything that's going along in the hells, but it could also be a I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but something to the effect of like the rivalry between Mephistopheles and Asmodeus, right? Like, could we go in that talk with a piece of information already? This is an opportunity, if we were going to decide to do that, this is an opportunity to go in with a leg up. We just have to know the right question to ask. Like, is there something that Mephistopheles desperately needs in a ploy, or what's the right word?
Yeah, like what advantage could we use against the devils to convince them to work with us?
Something like, yeah, like, is there something that Mephistopheles is motivated for? You know, that way that we could go in and be like, hey, you need this thing, right? And then it's a bit of a leg up. Like, then we're not going in blind if we decide to do that.
So why don't we do, what advantage could we use against the devils to convince them to work with us? We could even make that more specific to Mephistopheles. Why don't we do location for the portal to the fourth seal? And then why don't we do something to do with the Kraken and these relics that are together? Like
even just a general location or last sighting or something. Kevin, I think your idea about the Gambino ship and stuff, I think that's really cool. I think we could actually probably get more information out of using legend lore for that, because he's been around, there's been a lot that's seen, and we know that, like, we just heard how long of a description Kyle just gave for that. I feel like this is going to be a little shorter.
Yeah.
But I think we should do that in the next few days, because that's a really good idea. I just want to know more. And they just fucked off. We have no idea where they went. Like, because we have Scry won't work if they're on a different plane, but like that's something else that we could potentially use to try to look in on them. Because I don't like that we just never tied that knot.
And we want our own ship.
It's also an interesting idea. Yeah, for sure. I mean, think about how many people, even in terms of, now we know where the final battle is going to go down. We can transport a fuck ton of people if we have a giant flying ship to a, location and drop them on top of people.
Okay, I think I have the questions.
Okay.
I'll just recap quick. We can ask, how should we best locate Stormbreaker and the Belt of the Tempest off Storm's Rend or whatever that what was it called?
Seafarer's End?
Sorry, yeah, off Seafarer's End. Do we feel good about that question?
How was it phrased?
How should we best locate Stormbreaker off Seafarer's End?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We'll make it just about one to try and make it easy on Bahamut. Next question. If the fourth seal falls, where will the hells break into the material plane?
Yeah, where will the forces of hell collide with the material plane? Or where will the result take place? I don't know, something like that.
It'll tear. The four seals will tear the fabric. So where will forces of hell tear into material plane?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, what's your perfect Sunday?
Ask a giant ancient.
He's like, where?
Yeah.
I like to kick back.
I start with a stogie. And then what advantage could we use to convince Mephistopheles to work with us? That cool?
Yeah, or even instead of what advantage, because that doesn't. I don't know if that means anything. I guess it's rough for interpretation, but something like what piece of information or what
piece of information would Mephistopheles find most valuable?
Potentially. Yeah, that could work.
It's good to know what someone values, what they desire.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What information does Mephistopheles find or how about something like find most compelling to bargain with?
Or to help us.
Yeah, to bargain.
That will most benefit us.
Oh, okay. What information does Mephistopheles find most compelling that would help us?
Or even like Ali said, make it more general. Like, what information regarding Mephistopheles would most benefit us in this situation?
What information regarding Mephistopheles would...
I don't know. That might be vague, but.
Well, let's see how the
Hi.
DM feels today, folks. Let's do it.
Good question. So, you approach Uth.
He's quaking and letting out tiny moans.
Yeah, sorry, I'll mute.
I don't know. It's cute.
Uth fell asleep long ago.
Uth.
Uth is currently sitting, fingers steepled in this well-worn chair in the midst of the kind of scattering array of chairs in the kind of sitting area of the library. Damascus has long been wandering the halls. Galdrin and Colton have kind of been standing back, almost in the doorway, almost in a we shouldn't be here, but we think it'd be impolite to leave. And this is still really interesting. We don't want to leave, but it feels weird that we're still here. But now they've gone too long, so now they can't leave, and now it could be weirder. So
We've all been there. We've all been there. You just gotta wait. Just wait it out.
they're waiting it out. But as you approach Uth, and as the whole kind of group, after a little bit of communing with one another, you approach Uth, and he kind of sits up, fingers still kind of steepled in before him. You are prepared?
We all are.
Excellent.
I'm gonna force you guys to ask one of these questions each.
It'll take a moment.
Still waiting for the distraction.
Not yet, Hondo, not yet.
It'll take a moment for me to concentrate and welcome his presence within. But if you will sit, be patient, and ask, he will provide. And he sits in the chair, kind of sitting straight back, and his arms kind of fall away into his lap, kind of within one another, cupped atop one another. And he begins with eyes closed, this faint kind of low, guttural, like chant almost. You can, whoever here speaks Draconic can understand what specifically he's saying, and it is just a ritual cast of this commune spell, this arcane like language that is infused with this like kind of religious overtone, and there's no necessarily like words to it so much as a draconic kind of like layer over top of this chant and this arcane. And a minute passes, and as his eyes reopen once more, you see this steely blue has replaced his former like golden irises. The light in the room kind of, the shadow cast behind him from the light of this crackling fire grows immense, and you watch as the shadow itself grows to the size of the platinum dragon that you've seen before. You see this massive beast now in shadow cast on the wall behind. The head moves and shifts as Uth's head moves and shifts. These massive wings unfurl in shadow, and Uth dips his head low and says, you hear the voice boom through Uth of the Platinum Dragon. You have come with questions. I will provide answers. Please, ask.
I look at Brawley.
How should we best locate Stormbreaker off Seafarer's End?
There's a moment of Uth kind of shifting in place as you watch the shadow behind almost like pace and move as Uth kind of whole body kind of shifts and moves to like give the illusion of movement. And the voice booms once more. You have the location of Seafarer's End in story and tale. It is oft marked by a vast storm and maelstrom of the seas that rends ships for miles across. A storm you can see lightning, vast dark cloud, perpetual. But the best story to guide you is told by a former adventurer, one named Oberon Abbotsford, on the east coast, just north of Verdantia. He has seen those dark shores. He has seen the maelstrom and lived to tell such tale. By his account, would be your best path. Next question.
I will go. Can you tell us where will the forces of hell tear into the material plane?
Should the Revenant Vow be successful, should the gate that cannot be reopened be rebuilt, and the forces of hell march through, the city, the watchful eye of the floating city of Mythandor on the east coast of the Vale, inhabited by the Noldor Enclave, have long been steward over the Forgotten Gate. However, it is not the city of Mythandor in which the gate will erupt. The city in which the watchful eye hangs above. The ancient city of Theluna bears the passage below. When the gate reforms, the city of Theluna will be destroyed in its wake. Should that gate reform, Vesaria's destruction will not be far behind.
Great. Uth, one more from me. Sorry, Bahamut. What information regarding Mephistopheles would be most helpful?
At this, Uth shifts and kind of freezes in place. And you watch the shadow begin to kind of hunker and lower and grow small. The voice almost comes out as a whisper, and you can see Uth almost physically shaking, shivering. Immediately you feel uncomfortable and worried, both for Uth and why is this happening? And the voice whispers through. Mephistopheles has learned a secret long stricken from history. A word, a powerful, ancient word. One capable of rending a god. One in your midst seeks. This information has been rended from history and yet still lives. Its evil permeates all light. Its use. And he just kind of stops. It is pure evil. This Mephistopheles possesses. I should say, this knowledge Mephistopheles possesses.
I look at Hondo. What is he talking about?
The shadow then fades, and Uth kind of crumples a little bit, leaning forward, kind of coughs a little, and rights himself.
You all right?
I will be.
Thank you for doing that.
It's the least I could do.
Hondo, do you have something to share with us? Do you have something to confess? What? Well, Uth and Bahamut said one of us here possesses this scary word or knowledge, and I'm looking at all my friends and they all look innocent compared to you.
I mean, I'm pretty clueless. I think you should be looking at Brawley.
Look at who? Brawley?
Me?
Clearly a threat.
I mean, I just found out some of my own personal stuff, but like, so did you at the same time. Plus, look at me. Do I look like I'm hiding something?
That's the point.
You can trust Brawley. You, I'm not so sure. Mary obviously has the best heart here. Lavender's pure chaos. I'm sure she could be up to something spooky, but that's all of us. There's no one else here who possesses a bone of... Do I see Gord in the shadows?
Yes, you have an idea of where Gord is at right now. Gord, what are you doing as this information comes to light?
There,
What'd you say?
just observing.
Oh, okay.
Observing.
I thought you said Zoots.
I wasn't sure.
I know we can't see his face because he's wearing a helmet. But when that came through, we haven't heard Tenebrius before, right? Correct? We have not. We have heard about Orcus and Gord because it's come up a couple times, as much as Valentine likes to selectively forget it in his memory. Yes, we have. It's been confirmed, I think, twice.
Yeah.
But I just find it hilarious that Valentine's like, no, it couldn't possibly be. I find that adorable.
Did we hear him say Tenebrius when we were where Carval was? I thought we heard him say it, and then we were all like, what does that mean? But I don't remember if any of us remembered the word.
So you did hear him because that word was a passphrase to a infernal lock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That you guys were stumped by until Gord said this random fucking word. It still means nothing to any of you, and you have no idea how Gord stumbled upon the information. But Gord's connection to Orcus is now out is common knowledge. The depth to which it goes, not at all. And none of you have any knowledge that Gord has been given this like extra mission.
No. So what I was going to say is when he said one of you, I was going to scan the group and look at, I know I can't see Gord's face, but even just in terms of like posture, in terms of tightening up, if that meant anything, just to see if I can pick that out. That's it.
I'd like Gord to make a deception check, and I'd like Mary to make an insight check.
Okay.
Gord makes an attack roll.
Where's D&D Beyond?
14.
Okay.
Ooh, I rolled on D&D Beyond. 27.
Mary, you have been, of the group, one of the most distrusting of Gord since hearing of his connection to Orcus in the first place. You understand Gord's balancing act of using the darkness for good in your heroic endeavors, but there's an obvious recognition that Gord involuntarily kind of shudders, not shudders, shudders implies fear, that Gord involuntarily presents when basically singled out by the Platinum Dragon through Uthkadar in front of this whole group. It is unmistakable that he had a reaction, but given the coverage of his face, you just recognize that he recognized that, like, yeah, okay. We're on the same page here.
Gord, think you might be able to. If we go and do this, we might need you. None of us know any of this shit as well as I'm presuming you do. That's it.
Gord knows spooky stuff. He's always had our back. A word, eh? Mephistopheles learned a word, one capable of rending a god. If we could use that word to kill Asmodeus, to rend Asmodeus.
Well, a god, we don't know which one.
I think any god. That's what it made it sound like. Rend a god. This information has been rended from. I mean, look at the way Bahamut reacted. He was scared of it. He wasn't like, yeah, that's the devil killing word. He seemed like he was like, this information shouldn't exist. It's pure evil.
Like Tenebrious.
Oh, he just said
it. You say Tenebrious. There's no reaction from anyone other than any of you have a reaction of just like Gord just said a weird word.
I immediately start trying to commit it to memory.
Has no effect.
What does that mean? It sounds familiar, but nothing stuck in my head.
Tenebrious.
Isn't that when you have a buzzing in your ears?
It's tinnitus.
Oh.
Damascus sits forward and says, that name does in fact sound familiar.
Name?
It's a place.
Tenebrious is a place?
I came across some rather dark writing in another life, truthfully. In a place among the stars. And there was whisper of this dead zone. So scary.
Sounds freaky.
He woke up. He was doing so good.
That's going to scare you viewers once you see this shit. I hope you're listening with headphones.
This dead zone, whether it was called Tenebrious or something within, it seemed to belie a location. I keep saying belie.
Dead zone in the stars. You know, when we were in the abyss, specifically like Carval's lair, we ran into this guy named Ian who was a speaker to this like voice in the stars, this eye, and we went into his Carval's actual lair. There was this giant eye looking down on us. It seemed like
like the one who watches or something. I'm trying to find it in my notes.
Yeah, the one that watches.
Does that ring any bells, Damascus?
It sounds extra planar. Less my forte.
What is your forte?
Well, ancient history, but ours. More on this world than elsewhere. This just happened to be scattered writings that I always found haunting in a way.
Gord, what made you remember the word Tenebrious? Where did you first pick that up?
An old pirate secret I can't reveal.
Old pirates.
Make a deception check.
Pretty
24.
good. Pretty good.
How much were there?
24.
Mary, what's your passive insight?
I don't know if it's that good.
It's only 21, so that beats my passive.
I would still say for Mary, like, you don't fully buy it, but you can't tell why. But you also don't buy everybody's bullshit. You don't buy Valentine's half the time. But it seems like he's telling the truth to most everybody else.
Tenebrius is a place. Damascus came across dark writing, found a dead zone on the stars, extraplanar. We know that when we were in Carval, they were talking about the same spooky shit. The one who watches from the stars, spooky eyes. We know Carval had made a deal with Mephistopheles to grant him more power. He made him a deal. That's what we uncovered in the Infernal Hell box. Mephistopheles learned a word. This information has been rendered from history. He possesses the knowledge. One in your midst seeks. Gord, were you trying to seek more info about Tenebrius, the sea shanty you heard?
No, I just thought the word would be useful.
Sounds useful. Sounds like we could really use it to rend a god.
I mean, we got what we asked for. We know that Miss Mephistopheles is interested in this, or at least might know something about it. I don't remember the way it was exactly phrased. Leah doesn't remember the way it was exactly phrased.
Damascus sits forward too and looks at Gordon and just says, "Do you recall the story where you heard this word?"
Brock, if you don't remember, you can just ask Kyle to say it.
Do you
You don't have
recall?
to be Gordon. You can be Brock.
Do you recall the sea shanty?
As Brock, I legit don't remember.
Well, you didn't hear it in a sea shanty, that's for sure. The story of your side of Tenebrius. When you guys all collectively were in the abyss.
This is
facing
good for the
down
viewer,
Carval.
too.
Yeah, let's go through a recap for everybody's sake. When the Wildcards collectively traversed into the dungeons of Carval within the abyss, you faced off with Carval by traveling through this demi-plane portal within the lowest level of this inverted ziggurat of his dungeon. As you traversed through this kind of demi-plane, it seemed like you were traveling through the stars. When you arrived, all of you and Niamh at the time arrived, but Gord did not travel with you. As Gord crossed through this planar gate, or whatever, this demi-plane, whatever it was, Gord was pulled by his patron to a different location, seemingly traveling through the darkness and through the stars. Gord traveled to this form, this landmass, this dead zone in the stars, and heard Orcus call it Tenebrius, and said he needed it. He needed what was there. There was something there that he had and he can't recall, but he knows it's there. And Gord will get it for him with his life or his death. Since then, it has been a kind of ongoing, hey, go the fuck to get me whatever's at Tenebrius from Orcus. Constant jabbing and prodding to get you to do it. And now, seemingly, others have caught the trail. You've also learned Carval has obviously uncovered that same information as you guys all fell into battle with Carval in this dungeon that seemed to be within this kind of aberration-like extraplanar force. There was some other multiple-eyed monster that was kind of encasing this area of demiplane-like space within what seemed to be the astral sea. And Carval seemed to be communing and using these planar the gate gems as either a communion device or at the very least to power this connection, this domain that you were all within at the time. That is what is the gate gem apparatus that you now possess. It was essentially the power source of this extraplanar connection where Carval was interacting with this extraplanar force. It seemed like Carval had also obviously stumbled across this information.
Well, we killed Carval. We know he's probably coming back because we weren't able to find his Horcrux. But if Mephistopheles wants something to do with whatever that word is, whatever research Carval was doing for him, we do have the apparatus. And that's something we could barter with. Hell, we could use the apparatus. After I studied it for the first time since we got it, we learned we could use it to open the gate to go back to Carval's lab, lair. That's something we could do. We've never done that.
Possibly.
We need to do more research there.
You're not 100% sure how it works, how that part works. You're not sure where the destination is.
We know there was a whole bunch of symbols on it, right? And we couldn't translate them. This might be a good place to do that, the library, trying to find resources that might help us translate what the symbols are on it, that might give us more information about where it could take us. Not necessarily to be done today, but like at some point.
I'll pull it out then.
Yeah, you pull it out, and I would say you and Gord and Lavender as well, in your studies of the arcane, it would take a significant portion of time to find in the library the proper books to even connect to these. Like, it's something that in theory, this is probably your best shot at getting that information, because this is a vast library of one of the most well-known and most powerful wizards in history. However, it would take time, and seeing as you're on a potential time crunch if you're traveling, it's something you can probably come back to do, I would say.
Yeah.
More so than get started now.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It just might be a good...
This is a good spot to do that. Absolutely.
This is a good spot to leave this. If we go to the 8th layer and they ask for it, better to have a bargaining chip to be like, we could give this to you later, than opposed to be murdered one at a time until we give it up to them.
Well, and I mean, either that or keep it in the pocket and don't offer just to like give. We don't entirely know what it is, like if we can get more information, but just going in with that little piece of, hey, you're looking after this thing. Is it a task? Maybe it's a task they want of us. He wants of us. I thought it might be like, hey, we want to buck Asmodeus over, here's some information, and here's what I want you to do with it. It's kind of what I was thinking, but maybe it's a, hey, we want you to go to whatever this place beyond the stars or whatever it's called is and figure this out. Maybe he is going to give us a task. I don't fucking know. But at least if that's the case, we're not going in blind, completely blind.
Could be all these things.
We don't know.
Guys, tomorrow morning, what if we go to hell? For the second time?
Yeah, we've only did it twice.
Third time.
Third time?
Just
remember we
swift sojourn there to kill a guy.
We had to make a quick pit stop to kill my uncle.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Very quick pit stop.
Do you have any suggestions, tips, knowledge, anything that you can give us that if we need to survive down there, if we need to fight a devil, what can we do?
I think the main thing is going to be not trying to fight
or
the head of the 8th level of hell.
Or make a deal.
He's gonna fuck us up. Or, stray from what we potentially might be doing and going and asking for a sword that we never use.
I would say you could barter with your soul all day, but just your soul in this instance.
Ruth puts a hand out and says,
Oliver. Sorry.
It says Oliver. A cat darts across the room. I forgot he was here. Another of the many menagerie I take care of. He puts his hand out to you, Hondo, and says, Hondo, I know you're rash in your decision making, but please do me the favor. Do not barter so lightly with what is most precious to you. Your soul is more important than you might think so. When you travel into these hells, do not wish to engage any of the archdevils. Do not wish to engage with Mephistopheles in combat. Do not wish to challenge anything where you don't need to. However, should there be a fight you must take, fight with honor, fight with dignity. And when those souls in the hells die, they die for good. So make it count. Also, don't use fire.
Oh.
Not useful.
Great note, too. And you've been working on your water is super effective against fire, Hondo, for the entirety of our game. So
it should be good.
A good thing to note that our boy just said there, you kill them in hell, they're killed for good. We could, Hondo, you've always talked about wanting to do a strike force against Raymond, against Throtier.
We go in, we don't talk, we just kill them.
All business, just like you and the Grey Lady, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd like us to be on the path to something before we end tonight.
Totally.
So, unless you guys have any last kind of questions or things you want to accomplish before hitting long rest, and we are going to continue into the morning and begin your path down whichever path it is you choose to take. Is there any last moments before you guys turn in for the evening?
Do we want to scry on anybody while you have that available before you potentially change it for tomorrow?
And I will add to scrying, you can scry on locations, I believe. Not just
But it has to be on the same plane as you.
Yes. Same plane of existence. Instead of targeting a creature, you can choose a location. When you do, the sensor appears that the location doesn't move.
And I could just watch the location for like 10.
Yeah, I would probably do a little shorter than 10 minutes unless you really wanted to. It was just another option to say if you wanted to use it and want to look at a location for some reason, you can. Otherwise, if you have a person, do it there. Otherwise, go to sleep.
Yeah, is there? I mean, we could say Revenant Vow, peeps. We could. This doesn't have to be done today, but we said we wanted to check in on Celine at some point.
That's what I was thinking. Selfishly, I was thinking either Francis or... Actually, I think I already scried on Francis and he seemed content. Didn't he, Kyle, or did I dream that?
No, yeah. I don't remember how recently it was. Maybe 2 nights ago?
Yeah, so that feels good. Let's do Celine.
Recently enough, but yeah, Francis is just like working and like happy to like be helping, like doing the thing that he's been trying to do for so long in the Vale.
And
seems safe.
Separately, I know, Allie, at one point you said you wanted to use the stone to contact your sister.
I think she did.
Yeah.
Did you actually do that? Okay, cool. Not saying you have to do that, but I know that that's something you said that was on your wish list.
I think I did, and it was like in passing, like in between while we were doing stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I probably missed it.
I'll go for Celine. We promised Quinn we'd keep an eye on her.
Sure.
So let's hold up our end of the bargain.
Wisdom save?
Let's see, scrying. Have you heard of the target? Yes. Familiar? Would you say we know her well?
I'd say you are familiar, so it would be the most familiar modifier.
Okay, so then it's a -5 to her. And it's a whiz 17.
Whiz 17. She rolled really well, but your connection knocks it out.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Celine.
She's in an alley somewhere.
As you focus in on the crystal ball, still within the library, as everyone begins to kind of settle down, Colton and Galdrin do finally excuse themselves. Damascus is like gathering up stacks of books to take to his room with him. Uth is just like tidying and rearranging things, is getting ready for everyone to call it an evening, as it has now been several hours of research and talking and trying to figure this out. You finally settle down with the orb and reach out, hoping to fulfill the promise to keep an eye on her, on Celine. And your vision turns from fog as it kind of focuses in to a dark night sky. Still traveling from fog through cloud through this night sky, and you drift over top a familiar, dark, rather abandoned city. You see the water lapping up onto the distant shore, and as you your vision drifts over the abandoned city of Casterion and to the Raven's Eyrie, to the top of a particular tower in the Raven's Eyrie, where you see a lone figure in shadow. Difficult to tell exact specifications, but seeing as this is directed at a singular individual, you have to imagine it's Celine, just looking wistfully off towards to the south, off the coast. Just kind of sat with her in the arch of a window, with boots up on one side, her back and her head rested against the other side, and sitting like precariously up on the ledge, and just quietly sitting. And you watch as a raven swoops down out from above her, and she ducks for just a moment and just watches it go. But it seems she has returned to her duties at the Raven's Eyrie in Casterion. But you get nothing more from... She says nothing, but she seems content, if not solemn.
It's even more sad than whatever I thought.
I like it. It's nice.
No, it's good, but it's sad.
I'll just let the group know she's home. Let's go to bed, guys. And in the morning,
bedtime?
we dine in hell.
Okay. You all managed to complete a long rest, though for most of you, it changes nothing for your character sheet value. You get your 2 spells back. Your abilities all return. Gord, you have a fitful night of rest. Though you don't need to sleep, as you do rest, you don't find sleep come to you at all. Every time you do try, your entire body feels like it's crawling with worms, and the maggots are working their way from under your skin. You feel this biting, tickling sensation across your form, and the roaring of Orcus at this word, this place. That same vision keeps flashing in your mind. This sprawled, long form, almost humanoid-like landmass, but massive, immense, amongst a dark-lit, starry sky. This faint kind of fog and gray and silver, almost like a fog kind of rolling around. And on its surface, you can almost see the maggots kind of rolling and moving across. And as your vision kind of this waking dream turns to nightmare as that humanoid form, this landmass, becomes your own. This waking nightmare, you watch as you become this dead form covered in maggots amongst the stars. You watch as the light filtering down into your room tells you morning has come. A new day begins. As the rest of you have a restful, safe evening, quiet and content and safe. You wake up, a quick breakfast, and quick goodbyes from the three companions who will be, well, 4 companions, including Uth, who will be remaining behind. As what is the plan?
I say the plan is, guys, let me know if you're cool. We leave Damascus, Colton, and Galdrin in the Platinum Sanctuary. They can do what they want. But we get out of the Platinum Sanctuary somewhere in the desert and call our boy and say, let's meet. We still got the Hero's Feast flowing through our veins. So if we're going to meet a devil, I mean, we don't have to meet the devil. We can just straight up be like, to hell with the devil. But I feel like it doesn't really feel the wild card way.
Also a point, all of you have plus 13 max HP for the Hero's Feast. It's a max HP increase, which means you can heal it back up when you lose it. For 24 hours, you have an additional 13 to your maximum. It's not temporary.
We got 13, you say?
Yeah, so to whatever your max HP is, you can increase that by 13. I think there should be a way to do that in D&D Beyond where you can actually click on your max HP and raise it. And then when the 24 hours is up, we'll remind everyone to pull it back down.
There's an override max HP thing.
There we go. In
So I
theory,
think
if you wanted to, you could also, if it's easier, I don't know exactly because I don't necessarily do it like that. I do it in my book. You could do it as temp HP and just know that you can add it back, and we'll just be cool with that. But
No, there's a max
HP, it's a whole thing.
There's a max HP modifier, at least I'm on the app. So then it tells you what you should normally have and then what you actually have.
Yeah. So we can also work that out later, but that is I have it written in my notebook as well. So 13 max for your Hero's Feast. So you guys want to venture out into the Kell? How far out? Like, how long do you want to travel?
I'd like to not be close to this. Like, we don't want to give any kind of idea of this location. We have... Oh, the carpet's so fucking slow.
We'll just go like half hour out, hour out.
Okay.
Like that. That's good.
At a standard pace, like that's a fair ways.
We can go pretty quick because we know we're not going to be doing this all fucking day, and it's going to be cold.
You
like
don't have to travel at a slow pace. You can travel at a fast pace for an hour. Like that's a pretty good distance.
Yeah.
DM, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Could I have brought Fern back before bed?
Yeah, for sure. Super easy.
Where is Keith staying here, Allie, or is he coming?
That's another good question.
No, he's gonna stay.
I think that's a wise move. It's a wise
We'll come pick him up before D&D Christmas.
That's right. We would never do D&D Christmas with him. He needs little bells on him for D&D Christmas.
Oh my god, can you imagine a giant Christmas sweater for a goat?
And little like a wreath around him. Be great. We have to live for
Beard
that
has
guy.
mistletoe in it. Like just
So cute.
Christmas in what month is it? May?
Yep. It's May 2021 for anyone watching in the future. Yeah, half hour out.
Okay.
And then we give the call.
So,
Is anyone changing? Scott, are you changing up what you're attuned to? Anyone else?
Equipment that you have, anything you're leaving behind. Are you changing anything about your appearance, or are you going in as you were the day before?
I think we leave the gate gem apparatus here.
Okay. Gate gem apparatus stays in the library, we'll say.
Keep them studying, keep it safe here.
Keep it secret.
Our spell gems are filled. A cure and a dimension door. So I'll stay attuned to the ball Warden of the Fae has been set to fire. I'll keep it on fire. And that's pretty much it. Oh, yeah, no, I'll just stay Crystal Ball. I don't need a Pearl of Power.
Okay.
And then I'll use... Didn't he give us like a... Oh, it was a scroll, wasn't it?
There's a scroll of sending.
So then I'll say, if we're good...
You've been traveling now for an hour. You guys are well prepared for... as well prepared as you can be for your adventures into the frigid layers. You travel, I don't know the exact distance, but a fair ways away. You could possibly, with a really, really strong perceptive eye, tell which mesa it was you came from, but that's because you know what to look for. But even as you travel a short ways away, the sanctuary is shrouded by natural formation. There's no obvious temple. It is well protected, at least for the time. You do travel a long ways, but you're extra sure.
Before I cast it, I'll just turn back and be like, no one mention Tenebrius. When we get there, don't bet your soul unless you're Hondo and you're betting your own soul. And better to say nothing and be tight-lipped than to overstate something, to reveal something we don't want to. Please don't tell anyone I'm related to a devil in the 6th layer of hell or wherever they're from. I think that's it. You guys ready?
Ready as we'll ever be.
Scroll. Boom.
You draw the scroll. What do you say?
Malzakar, we are ready to have a conversation with Mephistopheles.
As
we accept your offer of safe passage.
Perfect. As you read from the scroll, there's a moment of reading the incantation on top of the scroll before you feel it burn away in your hands, and the ash that remains seems to catch your message before it dissipates, and you watch it kind of crackle and burn. And in your mind, you hear, "Excellent. You will not be disappointed, nor, I trust, will you disappoint. As for travel, expect their arrival directly. Hopefully you're somewhere safe. Good luck." There's a brief pause as you feel this kind of pit drop in your stomach of worry. What the fuck does that mean? And as the rest of you are just kind of looking to Valentine Mary, you can definitely tell Val made a fucking what does that mean face. And you all begin to feel the skin on your neck and hands and arms stand up. This static charge begins to kind of rustle through the sand and rise through your bodies. With a crackle and thunderous roar, directly above you, you watch as the plane-hopping warship, the Iron Dreadnought, appear above you all. High above, this energy cascades down and kicks the sand up in clouds all around you. Your faces are splattered with sand. It stings like small shards of glass as you watch these two blue arcane gem jet propulsion engines at the back end of the ship whirl around, and a heavy coiled rope ladder unfurls as you watch Captain Gambino lean over the side of the ship and say, "Look at these sorry fucking souls. Get a fucking move on. Next stop, hell." And that's where we'll pick up next time.
What a great ending.
Was not expecting.
Wow.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us next time as the Wildcards delve into the frigid layer of Cania with unlikely allies. There will be a new episode up every Tuesday, so stay tuned. But until then, keep exploring.